Sedano will tell us about his playoff schedule the rest of the week. Lord knows he told me on the phone earlier. Probably everybody on this show. Anyway, let's get to it. Sedano and Kap, the afternoon drive takeover for a Michelob Ultra reaction Monday afternoon right now.
Why'd you ooey? I don't know.
You didn't sound enthusiastic. I mean, didn't you miss me? What do you mean,
I mean, Andy Kamenetsky was really fun to talk to.
Andy Kamenetsky's great. I love him.
Yeah. And Beto,
Yeah.
We had Latino heat going on.
I bet you did.
There was a lot going on.
You put me and Andy Kamenetsky together, you got Hebrew heat.
There's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Make no mistake, my friend.
Yeah.
So, dude, I am curious. What is your deal? Like, what are you doing the rest of the week? Are you here? Are you gone? Are you on the road? You with me?
So
I'm
here.
Studio?
I'm doing every show but Friday.
Okay.
In some way, shape, or form.
All right.
I may not be here for the entire show every day, but I'm doing every show but Friday.
Okay, so tomorrow for this Lakers game,
I will be working from home because I got to catch the last flight out to New Orleans, which is at like 6:20.
Uh-huh.
So luckily I live near the airport, so I can get there quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think you're going to be on the air tomorrow till 5:30?
Yeah, close-ish. Maybe you'll do Radio Tinder by yourself.
Really?
Yeah.
And then you got to go, man. I can't even believe you're going to do that. You say you live close to the airport.
I mean, there's a good chance that flight doesn't leave on time anyway, so I've been on that flight a million times. So.
Have I heard, just so you know, I was away and I didn't listen on the app. I get rid of it a lot because I'll listen while I'm on vacation, but I did follow a little bit on social media. Mm-hmm. Did you have problems with flights and travel recently?
Not really.
Okay, because somebody put something on social media the other day about how you had to walk to your game because flights got canceled and moved all around. I didn't know exactly what had happened.
No, I don't think so. I was had fairly easy travel last week.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay, very good. And then something else I must have missed on Friday because my Twitter blew up. You were talking about the Good Karma internships,
right?
And you told the story of how far back you and me go?
Yeah. So what happened was right at the end of the show, we promoted the Good Karma brand's internship. Mm-hmm. And Beto, rightfully so, talked about how important an internship and a good one is. And then I said, yeah, I was Cappy's intern back in the day. And then everybody's like, whoa, what? How could you say that with 2 minutes left to go on the show? And I was like, sorry, I don't know. It just came up organically here. What do you want me to tell you?
I mean, the funny part about that was people were hitting me up all over social media this past weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys got to understand. I'm probably about, 25, 26 years old, something like that. I mean, I am really just getting my feet wet in the business. And you're probably, 19, 20-ish?
Yeah.
And just maybe young and in college
19,
or something?
Yeah, 19, something like that, yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't like anybody knew what to do. We were all making it up as we went along at that time.
Yeah, you were farting a lot. I mean, you still fart now, so there's that.
I mean, listen.
Some things never change.
I was at a bowling alley a couple nights ago in Mammoth, okay? And it was super loud, right? So I was just letting them rip, dude.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter to me at all because I knew there was no way that anybody could hear me.
Right.
So I was just letting them fly.
Right.
Dude. And there wasn't anybody that was going, what the, who the, what the. It just nothing happened.
Right.
There was nothing.
Right.
It was great. God, that's such a
You
terrific
felt freedom,
thing.
basically, in that part.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It was indoors, clearly, at a bowling alley.
Oh, yeah, totally indoors.
Yeah.
By the way, quick note on that, Cappy. You know how you always talk about, your stomach and flatulence and whatever you want to call those issues on the air openly?
Yeah, it's more like, it's what happens when you're not really sure.
You have IBS, irritable bowel syndrome.
You probably have what do they call it? Like a GI issue, right?
Yeah. Go see a gastroenterologist.
Yes, you should. One of our Twitter followers or someone in the community saw this tweet posted by Dude Wipes, which Dude Wipes is like baby wipes for guys.
Yeah.
And it said, when's the last, or have you ever pooped your pants? Mm-hmm. And somebody quote tweeted it and was just like, oh, Cappy needs to endorse this brand.
No doubt.
And I
so
said,
have we handed off?
I told Matt Burke.
Okay, that's the right guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's one guy who could sell Dude Wipes. That's the guy, Matt Burke. He's a dude wipe kind of guy.
Then you wouldn't need extra underpants.
I mean,
that's true.
I don't know. I mean,
you still think you'd need underpants?
Well, I mean, it sounds like the Dude Wipes could do a nice job of, cleaning it up.
Well, I feel like Laker fans have needed that all season long, and now they feel confident. Now they're good. Now they're in a place where they don't need the dude wipes anymore.
Well, listen, I heard LeBron yesterday, and he's sitting there after the game, and of course, this is after he's crowned himself a couple of times in the game yesterday, which I
mean, he did
that.
hit pretty humongous shots. Did he not?
Listen, dude, the guy was amazing. I mean, I give the guy all the credit in the world. I said it all year long. 38 years old doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
The man is superhuman, okay? And the guy got himself back. He got his foot fixed because he found the LeBron James of foot doctors.
Yeah.
He got his foot fixed, and the guy looks great. He looks spry. He looks younger. Maybe that 3 or 4 weeks off that he had, maybe it just rejuvenated him. I'm not sure, but he looked great. So he crowned himself, and he sat there in the locker, George, shirtless, of course. Like, check out these guns and these shoulders and the traps and the whole deal. And he said, "Look how bad we were. Like, here's a team that actually finished 500 better."
Yeah.
You had given us that stat. They hadn't been 500 in like 2 years.
Right.
Where they started the season, both from a roster perspective, a dysfunctional locker room perspective, and a terrible start at 2-10, to where they finished the season and what they accomplished after the second half, after the trade deadline, et
Only
cetera.
12 teams in the history of the sport have gone started 2-10 and made the playoffs.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm actually psyched about this whole play-in thing. I like the play-in.
I do. I love the play-in. It's funny because LeBron used to poo-poo the play-in all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No poo-pooing.
He
You
needs
hear
it
that?
now. Yeah, that's for
Get him
sure.
some dude wipes.
Yeah.
I think his exact quote was, "The person who came up with that bleep
Should be
needs to
fired.
Should be fired,
Yeah.
right, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I don't think he went as far as to say violence. I mean, just fire the guy.
I believe it was fired, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, think about it now. The excitement part of it is if you're the Lakers, George, and you're the 7,
Yeah.
and you're taking on the 8, but the 8 just imploded.
I mean, disaster. I was watching that thing live. That was the game I was watching yesterday. I had the Lakers on the iPad, and I had on the ESPN app or whatever, and I had Minnesota on. Actually, what I did, I had DirecTV has that like multi-screen channel for like their league channels, like their League Pass channels or whatever. So I had that on, and I had that one on. I had Phoenix and the Clippers on. I had a bunch of games on there. And then eventually I just focused between that and Phoenix and the Lakers still on the iPad. And then, it was wild to watch in real time. I was like, what? Because I got up to get something to drink, and then all of a sudden I turn around, I hear them say that Gobert's going at it with Kyle Anderson on their local broadcast. And I turned around, I just rewound it, and they didn't really kind of give any real context then. But obviously, in real time, we were finding out what the hell was happening very quickly.
Well, did you happen to see Woj's tweet today where he explained that Gobert didn't really try and hurt him? It was really just more of a punch to the chest.
Yeah, but
on the other hand, but on the other hand, Anderson did call him the B word.
He did call him the B word.
Which is like, hey, just so everybody knows, the reason he actually threw the punch, whether he was intending to hurt the guy,
it's more of a push, but
right. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is he called him a B word.
He did.
So once you call him the B word,
yep,
everybody understands, okay, that means we got to go.
Go time.
Yeah, we got to throw. We got to throw hands right here, right now.
I mean,
you can't be calling me the B word without expecting me to throw.
Okay, and that's fine.
I actually think it's a little ridiculous myself, but
yeah,
I actually also think it's ridiculous that they suspended the guy.
I don't think it's ridiculous that they suspended him.
I mean, are you trying to win or you're not trying to win?
Conduct detrimental to the organization.
I don't disagree with that.
So it is what it is. Like he broke the rule. He broke the rule, and he did it in public, which is even worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, to punch a teammate in a practice where the video gets leaked and exposed.
Draymond got suspended for that,
right, and rightfully so.
Right.
This is not a punch in the face.
No, it's not.
It didn't hurt anybody,
but it still caused like havoc.
Also, Draymond's games weren't even real games, and this is a playoff game.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is like, if you went and made this trade to get Rudy Gobert, it hasn't exactly worked out the way you thought maybe, but you're in the postseason and you're on the road and you're playing against the Lakers and you just had another one of your dumbass players punch a wall and get hurt and now he's gone. So you need everything you got, and I will applaud the Timberwolves as an organization by saying, you know what? We think we'd like to win, but not with this jerk. Not right now. Let him be punished, and then he'll come back.
Everyone seemed very surprised. Like, I was watching First Take this morning, and Wendy was like, with that whole situation, like, this is the guy, like you said, that you went out and traded for and mortgaged your future on. Like, I would be shocked if he's not on that trip and he doesn't play.
And Wendy must be shocked. I have no problem with them suspending him. He's not very well liked by his teammates, historically.
Yeah, he's not very well liked by many people historically.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Yeah.
This is the same guy that touched everybody's microphones
during
when COVID was
at
just
the
starting.
Yeah.
Hey, isn't this funny? Look at me! I'll touch everybody's microphones. And everybody got sick.
I would have suspended him for that too.
Yeah.
So,
but what it does do though, George, is it tells you that those guys, they want to win, but they don't want him helping. At least not in game one.
Yeah, and he's also dinged up too, so that doesn't help. It doesn't help them if he's got back spasms, because then he can't defend the way he's supposed to defend. So there's that.
That's why his feelings were hurt so bad. How can you call me that when I got back spasms? Come on, I'm out here giving you my whole body.
Right. All right, coming up next, the Lakers got it done. They went through turmoil. Now what? Did they actually luck out with Minnesota? They've certainly had their battles this season. We'll get into that and take a look at kind of the Western Conference picture. Ryan Russillo will join us at 5 o'clock. Dave McMiniman at 6:15. Stick around. We're back in 2 minutes here on 7.
All right, Captain. May the best man win. I wish you the best of luck. I will say this is kind of like my arena here, so I have to come out with a W. San Diego State lost yesterday. I'm going to win today. I just have to do it. All right? Here we go. Thank you to Islands, by the way.
Hey, Sliwa. You guys may have won in pickleball, but I'm about to win in Papa Shot. I'm so committed to this project. Look around. I'm in the back of Yamava. I got guys holding the thing down in the wind. I got the van right here I'm plugged into. That's how committed I am to winning Papa Shot, because I'm an island guy and I'm going to Islands. Go!
Champ is here. First off, thank you, Islands. Papa Shot Championship. Guys, sometimes you just got to get the trophy. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to get the trophy. Thank you to Islands. Papa Shot is over. Had to take down everybody at the station. I appreciate the effort, but I had to take us home, guys.
And let's start here. He turned 64 today, the absolute legend, Babyface. Sedano Kap continues your Monday afternoon right now.
Oh, Babyface, making that baby-making music.
Really? Is that what you made babies to?
I mean, that's what most people do.
Really? Most people?
Yeah.
That would be like on Family Feud when Steve Harvey says, 100 people surveyed, top 5 answers on the board. What artist is most famous for baby-making music?
Oh, for sure it would be Babyface.
Babyface, Steve.
Would you agree?
Marvin Gaye would be the number one answer.
Marvin Gaye could be the number one answer. That's good. But just
Barry White's up there.
I would say it
Luther Vandross.
depends on generations.
I'd be
That's true.
really, really good at Family Feud, by the way.
You guys want to go on Family Feud as a show?
Yeah, we were going to do it last year at the Mandy's, remember?
Yeah, but think about it. We got the 4 of us.
Oh, we'd be good at it.
Yeah.
And now
Are
we
we doing
gotta
the
have a
Mandy's
fifth.
reveal tomorrow or whatever?
Yeah. Big announcement on when the Mandy's are going to be tomorrow.
Cool.
I'm pretty excited about it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Very excited. You guys sound very excited.
Who's going to be our 5th, though, on Family Feud? If we were a foursome...
It'd
we
be
need to-
Morales.
Oh yeah,
Morales.
Chris.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
good.
But that'd
Okay,
be
that's
Chris.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
He has a wide range of between the music and pop culture. I feel like Chris would be good for that.
Okay. All right. Top 100 people surveyed. Top 5 answers on the board. The number 1 artist for baby making is Bing. Babyface, Steve. Babyface.
Let's see Babyface. Come on,
Yay.
Babyface. Come on.
We're gonna have to go to Atlanta. You guys know to record the show.
That's cool.
I'm cool.
I
You guys are down?
I like Steve Harvey.
I love Steve Harvey.
They have
Love
directs.
Steve.
As long as they have directs from here, I don't care.
I
You're
have
good,
a few
huh?
friends that have gone to it. They like it. They like
You-
the experience.
You know, I just real quickly.
I thought of you, by the way, as I was flying back from Nashville, because
Yeah.
in the terminal next to me there was a Spirit Airlines back
Yeah.
to L.A.
Yeah.
from Nashville,
Yeah.
and I was like, God, Cappy has sent his poor son on that airline so
Yep.
many times.
But wait, let me ask everybody here a quick question.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard of the airline Breezy?
No.
No.
Me neither. Today, my son said to me, Dad, school's going to end on whatever it is, May 5th, and I would like to come home for the summer, that day. I said, well, look up some flights. Dude hits me back with...
No, I think it's Breeze.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, dude...
Because I was going to say Breezy is something else.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like slang for a thing.
Something else. Yeah.
For something else?
Yeah.
All right, so this isn't Breezy Airlines?
No, Breeze.
This isn't like, I'm going to get on my Breezy?
No.
I
Okay.
mean,
No.
Don't be getting
Careful.
on anybody's Breezy.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this
Sock,
is...
bruh.
My son told me, you ready for this?
Yeah.
One-way flight, nonstop, Pittsburgh to L.A. Or Orange County, Santa Ana, $100 on Breeze Airlines.
Oh, did they put him in the cargo area?
I don't care where he's going. As long as he gets from there to here for $100, I'm in.
He doesn't seem
Orange
like he would
County.
care.
Breeze Airlines, Pittsburgh to Santa Ana.
I feel like once JetBlue at least said they were gonna buy or acquire Spirit, then
What day is he flying?
He's flying on, I want to say May 5th. Call it a Friday.
Okay, so they only fly a couple of days a week from Pittsburgh, it looks like. So
yeah,
there's
I
that.
knew.
So John Wayne,
Yep.
I'm looking it up here on Breeze,
Yeah.
$99.
How about that?
Now that's the night. They have 3 versions. They have nice, nicer, and nicest.
Yeah?
So nice is, I guess, their regular, seats. Nicer is probably like their extra legroom seats, and then nicest is their version of first class.
Yeah.
And that one's $365. Why don't you just get them the first class ticket?
$100 versus $365?
Or how about just get them the nicer one at $139? It's only an extra
I do
$40.
that. I do that for $139.
I mean, geez.
I know,
He's
but
a
I
tall
also
guy. And those usually, if you're Frontier Spirit, you need to pay the extra $50 for the people with the longer legs.
No, dude, he's going on Breezy Airlines.
Yeah, they probably have you
Yeah.
could pay extra per leg $50.
I need to do more research on this Breeze first.
Breeze, it's not Breezy.
No, it's Breeze, bro.
All
We
right.
just told you that.
Not Drew Breeze, right?
Not that kind of Breeze. No.
Okay, just like a
Yeah.
like a cool breeze.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, well, there you go.
So, anywho,
Yeah.
Robert Wilkins, who's a big listener of ours,
Mm-hmm.
says to me that the Lakers, to be fair, LeBron has never actually benefited from the play-in. The Lakers have been the 7th seed twice, which means they would have been under the old system. And I said, but they played a play-in game to beat Golden State. And he's like, I know, but the top 8 teams make the playoffs. The play-in doesn't benefit the teams that finish 7 and 8. Well, no, but it can hurt them. If you lose the 7 game, like the Clippers last year, they lost the first one and then lost the second one, and then we're out.
Yeah, but he's saying if, let's say they didn't do the play-in, then they would have made it every year because they would have been within the top 8 seats.
I mean, I get it, but my point is, if you can still lose, then you can benefit from it because you won the one game and you moved on.
See, this is why, by the way, let's call a quick timeout here. This is why tomorrow night at Crypto, when you're playing against a team like Minnesota that has now suspended a player, so that kind of gives you an idea of the dysfunctionality on their bench.
Is that a real word?
I just may have made it up. It's completely possible that there was dysfunctional, and I just made up dysfunctionality.
Yeah.
That is totally highly likely.
Yeah.
But when you have a problem like you've got now, where everybody's showing this video over and over again, and the team suspends the guy, and the guy got to go to Twitter and apologize, and he got to send a text to everybody in the locker room, and he's just so sorry. Okay, and then you got another young player who's a very good, solid defensive player, okay, and there's Jaden McDaniels, and this guy, to walk off the floor in the first quarter and punch the wall in frustration.
Yeah,
and
Jaden
now
McDaniels, right.
Yeah, now to have a broken hand, okay, and not
And
be
that's
able
the
to
guy
play.
that would have guarded LeBron.
So you have two of your starters now gone.
Yes.
You cannot lose this game at home and then face elimination in the next game. This is one where you win, you move on, you let them deal with whatever they got to deal with. That's their problem, not yours anymore, and you're in. You win, you're in. They got to win tomorrow night. Pretty obvious.
Yeah, because if you lose, then and you lose one more time, then you're out.
Right, but having this game at home and facing a wounded team like Minnesota.
You would also have the next game at home too, by the way, if you did lose.
Understand.
But here's why I'm telling you. Here's why I agree with you. But I'm just for clarification's purposes, I want people to know, because people are still really wonky on these rules, like they don't understand. So yes, if they lost to Minnesota, they would host the winner of the 9-10 game. They would host the winner of the game I'm doing, Pelicans or Thunder. And for their sake, God, I would hope if that happened, it would be the Pelicans, because if it's the Thunder, everyone's going to be a little tight, is what I would say.
Be tight either way.
Yeah. But they've held their own against the Thunder. I mean, the Pelicans. But what I think they need to do, why I think they need to win tomorrow, is because they need to stay on the 7 line. Because here's the difference. Mm-hmm. If you stay on the 7 line, if you're the Lakers, your first round opponent is Memphis, who you've had success against.
Right. And you think you can beat. There's another team that's all screwed up.
Correct. Your second round opponent, if you do beat Memphis, would be either Golden State or Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Sacramento, who, they've beat you twice, but, I don't think you're worried necessarily about them potentially, at least not winning a series. And then Golden State, you've had your way against them. Now, granted, they I don't know if I think there's only one game that both teams have played at a full strength. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was just that one game in San Francisco on a Saturday night in February. But
in February, okay, keep going.
Yeah. So, nonetheless, I believe that, and no, actually, it wasn't, because I don't think LeBron played in that game. But nonetheless, I think that you would have confidence to potentially even beat Golden State in that scenario. Then all of a sudden you find yourself in the conference finals against either Denver, Phoenix, or the Clippers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you could get to a conference finals, I think, a lot easier on the 7th seed side of the bracket than you would if you did lose that game, to your point. And then you're dropped to you're playing for the 8th seed. Let's say you get the 8th seed. Then you got to play Denver in the first round, much tougher than Memphis, in my opinion. And then if you do get by them, you got to play the winner of Phoenix and the Clippers.
This is why tomorrow night's game. And by the way, brilliant job by you, outstanding work. Because I'm with you. I think a lot of people are still, to use your word, wonky, which means a lot of people still don't really understand how the play-in works. And if I'm being totally honest with everybody, I've had to read this like 5 times.
Not a shock.
Well, I mean, look, it's relatively new, number one.
Yeah.
And when you think
and you're getting older. You don't remember things as well as you used to.
Listen, can't remember things as well, can't see things as well.
Yeah.
Bodily functions happen
Why don't you just get some
differently.
readers like I do?
I'm contemplating.
Got some green ones today.
Do you know that Steve Mason, and those are sharp, very Sally, Jesse, Raphael of you.
Yeah.
Steve Mason.
Very, very modern reference on your
Yes, it wasn't, but those who got it. Steve Mason let me wear his glasses last time he and I went to a Laker game.
Yeah.
And I went from I can see the video board and it's just a little fuzzy to put his glasses on and it was like unbelievable clarity.
Right, but he's got real glasses. I've just got readers, which are just for like the computer, basically, or paper or my phone.
Well, I need to do something because when I'm driving at night to South LA from downtown
Well, you need
LA,
real glasses then.
There's something
because I don't have an issue driving.
There's fuzziness going on. There's like signage.
You're going to get into an accident if you don't get glasses.
No, it's not that bad.
But if you're fuzzy,
do you have trouble driving at night without like any glasses? Because that's what happened to me, Cap. I was like, oh, I'm fine. My eyes, it's just a tiny bit blurry, no big deal. But then it started to like really quickly got bad at night to where I couldn't even see like the double lines on the road at night without my glasses.
No, I don't have that problem.
Okay.
However, what I will say is that when I'm watching television and I'm trying to see the score of a game and I'm sitting on the other side of the room on a couch and it's not that far away.
Yeah.
It's not like some monster room.
Right.
I'm like squinting. Like, what does that say? 110 to 1 what? I can't even see. I'm not sure. So I got to figure something out here,
Did you, by the way, dysfunctionality is a word.
Okay. Thank you.
It is the plural of dysfunction.
All right.
So that is accurate.
Okay.
You pulled that one out of your rectum. But It worked.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did.
So anyway, and we can say the word rectum because it is a medical term.
It is proper terminology.
Yeah.
Okay. It may not sound tasteful on the air, but it definitely is the proper anatomical
You're
terminology.
really worried about
So
taste.
I have a text here from a very important person,
Who's that?
Jacob Imrani.
Okay. What does he say?
Says, please tell him, Cappy,
Yeah.
to get glasses. The last thing I would want is for him calling me because he was in an accident. I love the guy and I would represent him, but I want him to be safe.
Hey, Jacob, my Hebraic hermano. So much love to you, brother. Thank you. I will make a commitment right now that sometime in the near future, when I find time to do it, I will go to Costco and have somebody look at my eyes.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, is that the right thing to do? Is that where you go?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I got a good life hack about Costco since you brought it up.
Tell
real
me.
quick. So I was looking for flowers for my sister's 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get like 40 purple roses because that's her favorite color. And I couldn't find them anywhere that was less than like $200. Somehow I ended up on Costco's floral website.
And they got it to you for like $40.
Yeah, they were like $40,
Yeah.
and they were 50 roses actually, and they were really, really pretty.
There you go. Costco.
They deliver them?
Yeah.
Do you have to have you have to have the membership though?
No, you don't.
No?
And they were delivered just like any other flower arrangement. She didn't even know they came from Costco.
You know, I thought I found a cool life hack the other day on Instagram,
Yeah.
which was take avocados,
Okay.
put them in cold water in a
Yeah.
piece of Tupperware,
Yeah.
then refrigerate them, and they'll never go bad.
Yeah, that's not that new. Like basically, my
That's
grandma
brand new
did
to
that
me.
since I
That
was like
is-
a child, right,
that
Laura? I
is
feel like that's the
news
same
to
thing
me.
your abuela used to do back in the day, right? Like,
Really?
I'm not alone on this.
Yeah, or if you want to get them like ripe,
Mad-
quicker,
maduro, yeah.
maduros,
Yeah.
you put them in the microwave a little bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Putting them in cold water and refrigerating
We'll
them.
hold them. Yeah. Yeah.
This was
Hold
news
them.
Longer.
to me.
Yeah.
This was news to
But
me.
if-
I mean,
They're
you
too
also
green.
didn't have an abuelita, so there's that.
That is true.
We had a grandma.
I had a grandma.
Yeah, it's different. You had a nana.
No, not a nana, a grandma.
Oh, just a grandma?
Two grandmas.
Oh, okay. No nana, huh?
No nana.
It's usually
Both
a very
grandmas
white,
were grandmas.
It's very a white people thing. Nanas. They have nanas.
Yeah, not a nana.
Oh, good for you.
Yep, two grandmas. Two
I mean,
grandpas.
no disrespect to those who had nanas, you know.
None taken.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, Cappy.
Yeah.
So now that we've talked about the Lakers, what does the rest of the West look like? And also, I think you and I know it's early, may have been right on the Dodgers so far this season. We'll get to all that coming up. Stick around. Ryan Russillo at 5, Dave McMiniman at 6:15 to talk NBA, both of them. We'll be back in a couple minutes here on 710 ESPN.
All right, Captain. May the best man win. I wish you the best of luck. I will say this is kind of like my arena here, so I have to come out with a W. San Diego State lost yesterday. I'm going to win today. I just have to do it. All right? Here we go. Thank you to Islands, by the way.
Hey, Sliwa, you guys may have won in pickleball, but I'm about to look at Papa Shot. I'm so committed to this project. Look around. I'm in the back of Yamava. I got guys holding the thing down in the wind. I got the van right here I'm plugged into. That's how committed I am to winning Papa Shot, because I'm an island guy, and I'm going to islands.
Champ is here. First off, thank you, Islands. Papa Shot Championship. Guys, sometimes you just got to get the trophy. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to get the trophy. Thank you to Islands. Papa Shot is over. Had to take down everybody at the station. I appreciate the effort, but I had to take us home, guys.
So,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, he
And
was.
because we know
Yeah,
shit out of loves the Beatles, on this day, back in 1970, Paul McCartney announced the Beatles' breakup. So let's play the last Beatles hit song they had together as the group. Take that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, you know you love it. Shit out.
What a
Shit out with
song.
Cap continues your Monday afternoon right now.
What a song.
By the way, Haley Joel Osment was also in. Was he in the Entourage movie or I think it was the Entourage movie, or maybe the last season of Entourage, one or the other, where he was like this rich kid whose dad owned like the studio, and he wanted to produce Vince's film directorial debut or something like that. It was a disaster, and he was trying to like hit on Vince's girl or something. I don't remember. It was something ridiculous like that. But that was the last time I actually saw him anywhere.
I must admit, and I'm sad to admit such.
You have no idea who Haley Joel Osment is.
No, it's not that. It's just that I didn't see the Entourage movie.
Oh. I did see the movie because I needed to pay homage to the show.
Yeah. I, for some reason, just never really got to the movie, and I didn't hear good things about it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because my boy Doug Ellen, who's the producer of that whole thing.
Yeah. We follow each other on social media.
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know. Now, he's a guy who I should bring next year to our pickleball tournament because he's a quality pickleball player.
Is he?
Yeah, very good.
Excellent.
Very solid, as a matter of fact.
So Tim in OC, as you know, is a big listener to this show, and he tweets in the Sedano and Kap Circle of Trust, which you can be a part of if you go to your Twitter and then go to the communities and just type in Sedano and Kap, and you'll see there you can join us. You have to be approved. We don't just let any foof in. I heard Mason Ireland use that word earlier today. Mostly because we were getting bots, and I needed to get rid of those. So we decided to, create a velvet rope, basically. So he tweeted in the Sedano and Kap Circle of Trust earlier today, Clippers national media darlings. They always pick them to get out of the West, and yet all they do is give us the choke job of the century and 0 championships. Now potential first-round exits against the Suns. Still no criticism from the media. And then I responded to him, what would you like for that criticism to be? And he finally responded just a few minutes ago and said, during that choke job a couple years ago, media barely talked about it. It's like no big deal. Sure, nobody cares, but at least talk about it more. Then Kawhi chooses to be a part-time player, but he's good. He is good, not street clothes. He's not compared to like Anthony Davis. PG-13 choke during big games. No media says anything. First of all, I would say when they lost in the bubble, I think all everyone did was talk about how they lost in the bubble. And eventually it became a bigger story. So, you guys like say these things, but you actually don't like realize like how wrong you are about this stuff. Like Doc Rivers getting fired after being there for a decade, almost a decade, was like not a small thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I think what he's saying is that, the Lakers were the story all season, right? When they were bad, everybody talked about them nonstop. Charles Barkley would go on TNT and say, why do we keep talking about these guys? They're terrible. And then the next morning, Stephen A. would be rambling about the Lakers.
Well, let me explain something to you. Do you want to know why people on TV particularly do that? And I love this because then he responded a second time and said, how many excuses will you and the media give the Clippers for not winning at all?
Yeah, George. How many excuses are you going to come up with, Mr.
I love
Media?
the owner, but come on. So I literally said last week while you were gone, Andy and I were talking about this, and Linz, you may remember this, where I said, it's been a failure. If they don't win a championship in this Kawhi, Paul George era, then they came up short by their own words, right? Like that's not anyone making excuses for them. Like now to answer your question and perhaps even his, do you realize the Los Angeles Lakers have one of the largest fan bases in all of sports? Forget about just basketball, just all of sports.
Of course.
So in general, you're going to play the hits, right? I'm going to give, like, you know this, Cappy. Like, when you listen to a music station, right, on the radio, there's a reason you hear the same, like, 30 or 40 songs all day. It's because that's the theory of play the hits, right? It's why top 40 stations are so popular, because they play the same songs that you want to hear. And, of course, you're not always listening all the time, so they play them enough so everyone can hear them. And occasionally you may hear it twice in a span of, like, an hour or two or whatever. But it's the same thing with sports. It's no different. There's a reason people talk about the Lakers and the Yankees and,
And there's a reason why people don't talk about the Clippers
they have a
or
smaller
the
fan
Chargers.
base.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when I hear what Tim is complaining about, what he's saying is that when the Clippers choke, the national media doesn't pick that up, doesn't bury those guys.
I disagree with that because when they lost in the bubble, it was a huge deal. Now, granted, it happened during a pandemic, but everybody that had a platform at that time was sitting there going, I can't believe they lost that series to Denver of all teams. Like, that was a huge, monumental upset, and Doc Rivers took a ton of deserved criticism for not adjusting in that series.
Yeah, but hey, Tim, I'm with you on this one, buddy.
Well, because you don't remember it either?
No, it's because...
I mean, you can't even see when you're driving. What the hell?
Now, wait a second. I'm not saying I can't see.
So we know you can't remember either then, if that's likely the case.
I'm just saying that sometimes the signs are becoming a little fuzzier at night. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If Anthony Davis was missing or let's just say Anthony Davis for argument's sake. If Anthony Davis was not available for this first round of the playoffs,
yeah,
what would you say about the Lakers?
I'd say they have no chance.
Well, so Paul George, second best player on that team. Should they have of course they're underdogs against Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns.
Wait, who's not? Who thinks they're not underdogs?
But that's my point.
They could have Paul George and they're still underdogs.
But that's But right, they would be a smaller underdog, but they'd still be an underdog to your point. But my point is right. They're missing their second best player. That's not an excuse. That's the reality.
Right. Who's saying that? Okay, I'm confused.
Tim in the OC is saying what is going to be the excuse when they lose in the first round?
There won't be an excuse because they're going up against a team that most everybody thinks is probably the best team in the West ever since they got Durant.
Correct.
And check me on this, George. But I think that since every game that Durant has played in, they've won every game.
Right. Kevin Durant, and this goes back to Brooklyn too. Now he's missed time, obviously, because he got hurt in a game against Miami. For a stretch, so he missed several weeks, and then he got hurt again, obviously, with the slip or whatever in the warm-up. But Kevin Durant has lost 3 games since Thanksgiving.
How many has he played in?
I'd have to go back and check, but I know the number's 3 games.
6?
No, it's way more than that. It's 20 or 30,
okay.
in that stretch.
Listen, Tim, I'm with you that when the Clippers lose or choke or fall apart or whatever, it is not covered the same way that the Lakers are covered when the Lakers are 2-10. The Lakers are a giant national brand, and Stephen A. knows that the more he talks about the Lakers, the better it is. And Skip knows that the more he talks about the Lakers or hates on LeBron, the better it is. All the big TV talking heads use the Lakers as content that drives ratings. And very frankly, the Clippers, whether they're winning or they're losing, don't drive ratings. So when you blame the media for not covering this, just understand they don't think the masses care.
Right. And by the way, when they did lose in the bubble, it was nonstop for days. It didn't stop. So because deservedly so, they had just put this team together and everyone had an expectation that they were going to win. So, and then they fell short in a series where Doc, had a rough series,
By the way, Cappy,
And by the way, the year after that, they went to the conference finals, for God's sake, when Kawhi got hurt. So, they actually kind of overachieved in that scenario. They'd never been there.
Cappy, KD's played in 26 games since
26 games, and he's only lost 3 games.
23-3, yeah.
Wow, very impressive.
There you go.
That's good, solid research right there, Lindsay Basketball.
I know how to Google like the best of them.
Yes, you do.
So, speaking of Googling,
yeah.
Did you have to Google anyone at the Masters, or did you know all of them?
So, very funny you were talking about this a little bit earlier about how you were following the NBA yesterday. So, I had the Masters on television because, like a very good bar mitzvah boy that I am, I was celebrating Easter with friends yesterday afternoon. But no bread. Just so everybody knows, no bread. And, George, let me tell you something. You know how hard it is for a guy like me with a real lack of discipline to be sitting there looking at a honey-baked ham and a Hawaiian roll and think, I'm going to have some of that honey-baked ham. Sorry, Rabbi, but I'm not going to have the carbs because it's Pesach. And I'm only eating matzah right now. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching the Masters yesterday afternoon on the TV. This is in some people's house that had me over. Oh, that nice soothing sound. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other. The Masters. Dude, I watched the Masters on the TV. I had the Laker game on my phone, and I was following on the ESPN app all the scores, and I was, scoreboard watching to see who was going to win, who was going to lose, and where the Lakers would end up.
I was doing the same thing, Cap. Kept hitting refresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was only following the Masters on the ESPN app. I didn't care to watch it.
So here's the thing about yesterday's Masters, is that Phil Mickelson played so early because he wasn't really in contention.
Until late, yeah.
And then he shot this 65. And we really didn't see much of Mickelson's round because guys like Koepka and Rahm
were at the top the whole way.
Right. And there was a time, and I'm not a Phil Mickelson fan per se. I I don't really like Phil Mickelson. I'm more of a Tiger guy than a Phil guy. I think everybody kind of takes one side or the other. It's
well,
kind of
you
the way
also took a picture with Tiger with your man bun or whatever.
That's true. That's true.
Ponytail or whatever.
But it's kind of like I'm a Chris Rock guy, not a Will Smith guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Sammy Hagar guy more so than a David Lee Roth guy.
Right, yeah.
You know? But there was a part of me yesterday that as Phil Mickelson was in the clubhouse at an 8 under and Koepka was falling apart, and I'm looking at John Rahm at like 10 under, I'm like, wouldn't it be crazy if Phil wins the Masters and we never saw any of his round on TV?
Yeah, it would be hilarious. I was the only thing I kept tuning in for was I wanted John Rahm to win because I didn't want the live guys to win.
Well, that was the other thing. If Mickelson would have won, or if Koepka would have won, if one of the live guys would have won, how much would that have stuck it to the PGA Tour?
Right.
So good thing for the PGA Tour that Rahm did ultimately win.
Yeah.
But in the top 5, 3 guys are from the live tour, and
yeah, but nobody cares about that. Just cares about who wins. No, I won't remember next year or
doubt.
the year after that who the hell finished in the top 5.
No doubt. And even though Mickelson's going to have yet another second place finish or a top 5 finish in a major, it wasn't like he made this crazy run at the very end. It happened so much earlier, and his score just held up.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? You and I are going to break.
Okay.
Let's switch gears back to hoops.
Okay.
Ryan Russillo of The Ringer is going to stop by. McMiniman at 6:15.
Miniman.
Your boy. So we'll get to all that coming up. Stick around. We're back in 2 minutes.
ESPN.
Sedano and Kap for your afternoon right now on 710 ESPN.
It's time for what you need to know.
Let's do it. What you need to know right now.
What you need to know is brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times. That's the 90 minutes from wherever you are. Ryan Russillo in a couple minutes here. But first, Linz, what do you got?
All right, real quick, guys. Guess what, Cappy? This is probably the festival for you this weekend. Coachella is in town. And I feel like that's something that you should probably go to, or you probably want to go to at least. It's going to take place this weekend from April 14th through the 16th, and then the second weekend is the following April 21st through 23rd. The headliners include Bad Bunny, Blackpink, and Frank Ocean. And guess what? Last-minute tickets are still available. Obviously, you have to get them on, the secondary market. But there's some 3-day general admission passes going for as low as $365 on Vivid Seats. That's like $100 lower than all the other websites. And if you want to go the following weekend, you can get tickets for around $400. So it's still not too late to buy tickets to Coachella, even though you probably want to call in a hey king, Cappy.
I've never been to Coachella, number one. Never been. 2, this is ridiculous, George. You've got to travel.
Here he is right on the CW.
You got to schlep all over the world? Hello, friend.
Sorry, that was my bad. I hit it on accident.
Yeah.
So, I've never been to
Maybe
Coachella.
you could see some of these Coachella artists on the CW, too. You never know.
That would be good. Yeah. The crosswalk. I've never been. And, George, as you're going to be schlepping around doing NBA basketball games, in the next 2 weekends, I have weddings back-to-back weekends. Friday in Phoenix this week, and the following Friday in Tampa. Why do people get married in April like this?
I don't know.
Weather.
Is that the deal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not too hot. It's not too cold.
So I've never been to Coachella, and I'm actually kind of pissed about it, to be honest with you. Because I had a really close friend that had a big-ass house out there, and artists would rent his house out, and he'd be in all these parties. And he's like, you're never going to believe who was in my house last night. I'm like, who? He's like, Beyonce. I'm like, nuh-uh. He's like, yeah, 100%. Guarantee here. I'll show you the pictures. I'm like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
So, never been.
And you love a good star bleeper story. So
I love Beyonce.
Yeah.
And, presumably, Jay-Z would have been, close by, and then he and I would have broed out,
right.
hugged it out,
probably
done some
not.
business together.
Yeah, probably not.
You don't think so? Could have talked about how my hair used to look like what his hair currently looks like.
Right.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I thought you'd ask him for money advice, but I mean that's kind of usually your route in that scenario.
Well, I mean, I would definitely. I love to,
I mean, like when we were playing
to
pickleball that one day, you ever heard those guys talking about like a 6-figure transaction, and you were like literally like prying into their conversation.
Well,
so.
I like to listen to successful people and follow their lead.
Ryan Russillo of The Ringer, he has one of the most important and popular sports podcasts in America at the moment. It's very aptly named the Ryan Russillo Show, and you can find it wherever you find your podcasts.
That's
of
creative.
course, it is. It's very creative. I think straight to the point. Even actually is more important.
I wonder what I get from this Ryan Russillo show. You're like a full dose of Ryan Russillo.
I mean, that's probably what you want if you're looking for the Ryan Russillo Show. Is that the way to describe it there, Ryan?
Yeah, I think looking back at the run, everybody's path, and there was such a reluctance to put my name on anything for such a long time. But I think now I want shows that I'm not even on after me. So it's a bit of, you'd have to really know my history. So I'm not going to repeat it for everybody. But yeah, it's the name seems to make sense. So the kids like it.
I mean, it works for me. You know what I mean? I like it.
Thank you.
I mean, that's all that really
Talk
matters.
about working out on this show or what, man?
No, come on.
Other people bring it up way more than I do, but there's a tough picture of me in a cashmere pullover in Utah where I look pretty fat. So, there's some really disappointed people out there. So, just time to get back to work.
So.
Dude, I remember you were on a couple years ago, and you it was literally like the day after an earthquake, and you told the story about how your entire weight set got all screwed up in the garage or something like that, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I mean, there was a way worse one where I bought a squat rack, and I was like, I'm pretty handy. I can put this together. And then I wasn't going to clear the ceiling, so I built it on its side and then tipped it up. And I was like, I got this. I was like, I know this isn't the greatest move ever. And then it was like crushing me because I had it on the wrong angle and it wasn't going to clear the ceiling. And I was just like, you know what? This is probably worth it for the memes if I die this way installing my own squat rack. But yeah, I think other people bring it up way more than I do, and it's led to, especially with this latest picture, just a lot of disappointment. We're like, doesn't this guy talk about working out a lot? Like, what's going on with him? And I'm like, I wore an undershirt, and altitude, and there's just a lot of issues going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cappy's got plenty of issues. I mean, he literally just openly brags about like letting one rip and farting in like public places. Like,
no, that's not accurate. What happened was I was in a very loud bowling alley.
Oh, he's done it in studio for sure. We literally caught one. You could hear it on the air, like barely. Like it was hilarious.
I just think where anybody that's done this job, like I get the science behind it, but if you're going to do it in a studio, especially towards your last segment, knowing you're handing off the studio to somebody else, like there's a place in hell for you.
Yeah. I know, it's true. But I will just say this. What happened was Saturday night, I was at a bowling alley, or Friday night. It was a very loud bowling alley. It was a dark bowling alley. So because it was super loud, I could just let it go and not have to worry about anybody like going, was that you? Was that you? So it's a very liberating feeling, Ryan.
Well, without knowing you that well, I'll guess that's not the first time that's happened at that bowling alley, so you're probably okay.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Laker fans were pooping their pants most of the season, and now they feel a little better about it. And honestly, Russillo, I feel like if they're on the 7 line and they have to play Memphis, like obviously they have to beat Minnesota, right? But they play Memphis. Like I feel okay about them on that side of the bracket. Where are you on them?
I'm open to anything. I still think it'd be a little surprising if they won the West, but look, the Lakers are such an incredible franchise, and the LeBron factor just adds to it that there's just so much joy from non-Lakers people watching them get off to this start. But it's one thing for them to turn it around, but it's also the reality of realizing like they're guys 3 through 9 or 4 through 9. You're like, what are they doing? And for them to figure this out on the fly, to have this rotation be so much better, have better fits around it, better options. I've said that I'm not a huge fan of moving picks that could come back to haunt you for no guarantee and sliding up in tiers in your conference, which I don't know that this trade guarantees them necessarily anything. But really it all comes down to, as you guys know, it's just Anthony Davis. Like I've defended him. I have stuck up for him at his best. I loved him. And I think in the 31 games that he's played, the Lakers have played 34, so he's played 31 of 34. I voted him all NBA. He's been incredible. And the funny thing is that I finally kind of like emotionally broke up with him because there was a game in Memphis where he kept falling down all the time again. And I'm like, how is this going to work? But that's kind of the point, is that all of this Lakers stuff of the last couple of years, if he's just him, he doesn't even have to be a better version that's never existed before. If he's just the really good Anthony Davis, this team has a chance to make some real noise, and I think the front office obviously deserves a lot of credit. Even if I don't like necessarily the overall price paid at the trade deadline, it's pretty remarkable to change out that many rotational players and look like a completely different team in season.
And because there was so much pressure towards the last, maybe let's call it 10 games or so, I think as we get to the end of the regular season, we realize, look what they did after the All-Star break. Look what they did after the trade deadline. I mean, they're one of the top teams record-wise that we probably weren't really paying attention to, and certainly one of the top teams defensively. So with everybody healthy, Ryan, I mean, I think going into these playoffs, they got a real shot that pre-trade deadline they didn't have. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, they have a real shot. I mean, comparing it to what we thought before. Now, I mean, any of us that watch or pay attention to any of this stuff, like you could come up with a counter and be like, well, they were playing for their playoff lives for weeks, and other teams were completely shutting it down, whether they were tanking or they already knew their seeding. I mean, the East was so weird. The last day didn't even matter about any of the seeding. So, you could play that game if you want, but I don't think that would tell the entire story. The defense is greatly improved. But, then as we're sitting here and talking it out, like I would just ask you, are you picking him? Are you picking them to be in the NBA Finals? Because as much as I'm open-minded about what they could do, they could beat Memphis. Of course they could beat Memphis, I wouldn't pick them against Phoenix. I think Golden State with Wiggins is a problem. I know no one really respects Denver. And they, really limped here the last 20-plus games, but I don't know if that's because of just trying to monitor what was going on, and I don't like being that flat when you've never really done anything in the playoffs. They have that one Western Conference Finals appearance. Like some of these teams are really funny how they kind of carry themselves as if like, don't worry about it, we got to switch. I'm like, dude, you've never been out of the second round. Like, why are we supposed to defer to your confidence? So, as much as I think any of us that have watched it, like you guys, I mean, it's the home base for you. Are you picking them?
No.
Like, is anybody really doing that?
I could talk myself into them in the Western Conference Finals on the 7th side of the bracket, where they can beat Memphis and maybe beat the Warriors if they beat Sacramento, because they just have had some success against them this season, and I just don't feel like they have an Anthony Davis remedy. You know what I mean? So, like, I can convince myself that maybe they can beat the Warriors and get to, like, a conference finals. But honestly, Russillo, if you told me 7 of the top 8 teams would get to the finals out of the West, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm with you. Why not?
See, that's why I'm on the opposite side. I am picking them. I am going yes, because LeBron came back, had enough time to reintegrate.
Well, and don't forget, he saw the LeBron James of foot doctors.
That is also true. So all I'm saying is that if there's one team that has a chance to truly peak within, call it, the next 10 or 12 or 14 games, it's the Lakers. So, yes, Ryan, I am picking them.
You're picking them to win the West.
That's correct.
Okay, so why, and again, I'm not even like going, oh my God, you're crazy. Like, how would you say that? Why are they allowed the benefit of the doubt of like peaking at the right time, but not Phoenix, who never lost a game when Durant played?
Never lost. Only because I'm being a homer, really. It's really the only reason.
I love the honesty.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah. It's the only reason. I'm just being a homer.
Now we don't have to debate it anymore.
There you go. It's over. That's it.
It's not really about analysis. It's just purely about being a homer.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the station could use the extra rounds though too. I mean, there's that.
Great.
But anyway. So let's talk about the rest of the West. You said obviously Golden State. Look, if Wiggins is playing, I think the number is something like plus 22 per 100 possessions, which is absolutely insane. And then Phoenix, I know people worry about like the depth, and maybe that would, I think, make them push further in a series, like extend a series. But I still think just Durant is too much, and especially with the combination of Booker and Paul has to be your 4th best player. Like, I think Phoenix is the best team in the West. But honestly, I think all of this is for naught, because if Milwaukee's healthy, I think they're steamrolling everybody, Ryan.
Steamrolling, I don't know, maybe we're just kind of arguing the semantics here, but I mean, something I'll talk about in my pod tomorrow is that, like, I went through the last 26 seasons, and the point differential for the number 1 team this year is behind all of them. Like, I ran out of, like, the file that I had didn't go back far enough for me to keep looking for it. Boston led the NBA point differential, and it was, like, in the 6s, which is incredibly low. Again, there's not a lower season in the last 26, I think, that I was able to even look up, so it probably goes even further back from that. You're looking at some of those Bulls teams. So, this whole season has been unlike what we grew up with, where, you could talk about parity, but for the most part, it was those 3 teams. With Middleton, healthy Middleton, I'd pick the Bucks over everybody. And that's what I think of Giannis. Like, I had a hard time with the MVP vote. I really did. And for a couple of days, I was like, why are you making this complicated? And I was like, I just don't think Giannis necessarily had the season Embiid did, even though I take Giannis 7 days out of 7. But the Middleton part definitely impacted him last year. And, they lost to a Boston team that's pretty good, but I wouldn't say, like, is off-the-charts special. So I don't know. I got to see what Middleton looked like, because even, it took him a while to even look normal again, which I actually thought he got to that point. We had Horst on the GM, and I said, I finally felt like, forget the stats. It looks like he's actually moving around a little bit now. That's better, and Giannis desperately needs somebody when the other team focuses on just building that wall and shutting him down to have some kind of outlet who a guy, you just can't leave, and it's not like he's some spot-up guy. So I would agree on the Bucks part of it, but it's just, this has become really hard with this league, especially the last couple of years, of we don't know, and the playoffs start this week. This would be like 6 teams in the NFL playoffs getting their quarterback ready who hadn't played in 3 weeks.
Right.
It doesn't really make any sense, and that's why you can spend all this time watching everything. Like, I was doing the season series matchups, and as soon as it starts going, they took 3 out of 4 of them in the regular season. You're like, let me go back and look at the box scores and who played and who didn't play. You're like, oh, this guy missed 2 and they missed 2 and the whole thing. So it all kind of cancels itself out. So that's why, 1 through 7 in the West, I'm open to it in a year in a way this year that I've never been open to it before, because I think that's kind of the lesson of the season so far.
Last thing here, I'm curious. I feel like everybody looks at Sacramento and thinks of them. You mentioned football, so like the way we used to think about the Cincinnati Bengals. But Sacramento is so different this year. Nobody gives them a chance. How about you?
Not against Golden State healthy. Like, that's the one team that I actually can throw out the numbers. Like, it doesn't make any sense, their road record. By the way, only one team in the West had a winning record on the road this year, and it was Sacramento, which usually is one of, like, the default things I'll look at for teams in the playoffs. Like, wait, did you beat anybody in the road? Oh, you didn't? Okay, how seriously am I going to take you? How did you do it against 500 teams or better? Sacramento's defense, I just can't get past it. Despite the fact that their 5 guys played together, I think, the last time I looked, more than anybody else in the league, when you look at the lineup combinations. And they played this year in a way, when you first started watching them, you go, these guys look like they've played together for like 3 years. That's how quickly it happened, how in tune they were with each other. But I can't get past the fact that they've steadily been like the 5th or 6th worst defense all season long. If it was a different matchup in the first round, you're right. It feels like it's being very dismissive of Sacramento. But if there's one team out of this Western group that I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to, it's the Warriors with Wiggins back. And I think the sneaky part of this Warriors thing, despite the ups and downs of every other week, Kuminga's like a problem now. I mean, again, maybe problems is an overstatement.
No, he's good, though. He's good. I'll give you that.
Yeah, like, there's more going on there now with him where he was almost like a DNP in a playoff spot, and now he's going to play real minutes. So you're right. It's dismissive of Sacramento, but they're going up against the one team in the West that I think it's okay to assume some things with Wiggins back.
Ryan Russillo hanging out with us here. All right, last one for me, because obviously here everyone hates the Celtics, and your guy Bill, Bill Simmons, obviously is Mr. Celtics. So I was listening to one of his podcasts. I always listen to the ones you guys do together, and obviously I listen to yours. But he did one with Mike Schur, the co-creator of Parks and Rec, and he was a writer on The Office, etc. Big Boston Celtics guys, he's part of the Levitard crew too. And they were like lamenting, like they sounded terrified that the Celtics were going to have to play the Heat. Well, you tell them that I say they don't have anything to be that afraid of this year, okay?
I can't believe it. It's been going on for 2 months, Sedano.
Yeah, I mean, listen, is it going to be a tougher series because it's them? Sure, they know each other. There's a lot of, history there. Jimmy's going to be tough, right? Bam, Spo. I get all that. But they're not going to win the series barring, like, a complete meltdown by the Celtics or an injury.
I still can't believe what happened last year. I thought there was a massive gap in talent between those two teams, and yet Jimmy's a shot away from going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That was one of those series. And I think that's what's haunting any Celtics fan, is that Boston was a superior team. Remember that one game in Boston where Miami got a huge lead, and then Boston finds a way to come all the way back, and they still lost it. But I'm with you. Like, this Miami team can't score.
No.
And in a playoff series with a team that kind of knows what they're doing and knows what Spoelstra is the best. You've been on that. It wasn't a homer thing. Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, and he finds ways to kind of rise the tide of the talent. But, Lowry's not a threat anymore. As much as I love Bam and Butler, really Butler in a series, you're just going to have to coach your guys up to go stop jumping on the first move around the rim when he slams into you, because he ended up taking like 9 free throws a game this year because nobody was able to just adjust to it. So I think in a series, that's something to adjust to. I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's history that's haunting any Celtics fan if that's the 2-7 matchup, because from what I've watched from the Heat this year, nice story, but they're just not good enough offensively.
No, they're shooting.
A better team.
Shooting is terrible. They were the number 1 shooting team last year. They're like 26th this year. That's the big difference. They don't have the space. And I mean, defensively they're fine. Jimmy's fine. Those other guys are fine. But yeah, it's not going to tell them to just relax. And they're going to say I'm going to say that only because I'm trying to rope-a-dope them. But I'm being honest. I'm serious.
But he does rope-a-dope a lot.
You're usually insufferable the other way around.
Right.
Now you're telling the truth.
Well, remember,
I
went on your podcast last year and said they're going to get to the conference finals at least, and you thought I was being homerific then, and look at what happened. And I'm telling you the opposite this year.
Yeah, no, I remember it because I was like, oh, here we go. I didn't care about the Miami Heat one way or another, but during those ESPN radio days between Levitard's show and then you being on, I ended up rooting against all of it just because of your 2 shows. I hated it.
He did that to me this year. I rooted against UCLA in the NCAA basketball tournament because he picked them to win the national championship. Same thing.
Yeah. It's okay. I like UCLA. What do you want me to tell you? I like Martin Jarman. Great AD. Former Boston College AD, by the way. All right. Ryan Russillo, the Ryan Russillo podcast, a part of the Ringer podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find it there. One of the most popular sports podcasts in America. Brother, I love having you on. Thank you for coming on. Super proud of your success, and we'll talk soon, dude.
Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the playoffs.
All right, man.
RR.
There he is. All right, we got to break because Laura said we had to break. So I needed to end that quickly because, Laura's in charge. You know that, right?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, we're back in 2 minutes.
Afternoon, a Michelob Ultra Reaction Monday. Yesterday, April 9th, of course, was Easter Sunday and the final round of the Masters. Oh, and the Lakers, too. It was National Unicorn Day yesterday. And yesterday, back in 1988, April 9th, 1988, the number one hit, Billy Ocean. Get out of my dreams, get into my car.
Love this.
Sedano and Kap continues your Monday afternoon right now.
Get out of my dreams.
Good video.
Get into my car. Out of my mind. Get into my car.
So this is Billy Ocean, is that right?
Yeah, this is what Chris said. You didn't hear?
Yeah, and then who's the other Ocean that's currently like a hot thing?
Frank.
Okay,
Yeah,
I always
Frank
get them
Ocean.
confused. I get them
He's
totally
gonna be-
confused.
I mean,
Coachella.
completely different decades, but yeah.
I know, but when I hear like Ocean, I always think of this guy, Billy Ocean.
By the way, do you know what movie this is from?
What movie this is from? I don't. Can you give me
It's
a hint?
from the Coreys. The Coreys were in this movie.
Like Corey Feldman and Corey Haim?
Yeah.
Give me a hint. What was the movie?
It's about driving.
Is it Cross Country Adventure 1?
No, License to Drive.
Oh, License to Drive. I was
Yeah.
going to say that next.
Yeah.
Might be.
Thanks to Ryan Russillo for joining us there. Subscribe to his
Fun guy.
podcast.
I don't know him. I've never met him before.
Well, now you did.
Yeah, I mean, you guys obviously must go back into some ESPN radio days.
Yeah, when I went to Bristol, 10 years ago, we met there.
Yeah, don't know him at all.
Yeah, well, now
Liked
you
him,
do.
though, today.
Yeah. I think he liked your homerific admission there. I thought that was great. You got a genuine chuckle out of him there.
I know, he's like, wait a second. You're taking the Lakers to win the Western Conference? How dare you? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I'm just being a homer, that's all.
Yeah. He thought it was funny.
Yeah, because look, here's the thing, George.
Yeah.
I want to see the Lakers succeed. I like good stories.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is this. The Lakers are never considered an underdog because they're the Lakers. But the fact is, they were 2-10. The fact is, they had this terrible, toxic locker room situation. They made moves when everybody was saying they got to do something. Don't let this year go by and don't waste a year of LeBron's career. And they did. And it got to a point where people said, hey, look at Rob Pelinka. He rebuilt this roster and rebuilt this season. And here they are. They're not squeaking in at the 9 seed. They got to the 7. They were in contention for the 6. They've got a matchup tomorrow night at home that I'm going to say it right now. They should easily win the game. I mean, if LeBron and AD were out, you'd be like, they're not going to win. And I'm not saying that, the guys that are going to miss the game for Minnesota are the LeBron and AD of their team. They're just two starters, and they're two really good players. they should easily win this game tomorrow night at home.
I don't know about easily, but I think they should win. They're 7-point favorites, so I mean, they should win the game.
And I say easily, and I know that everybody is out there listening, and they're going, are you out of your mind, bro? Did you see the last few games they played? When they played against the Phoenix G League team, it took them a long time to pull away, you know? So, look, I get it. You know, the last few weeks of the season, the Lakers are playing for their playoff lives, and they're playing against teams that are really not all that good, and when they were against good teams, those teams were resting other players. So I get it. But I think the Lakers will peak at the right time, and I think that they will have an opportunity to do something to get to the Western Conference Finals and maybe even get to the NBA Finals. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm homering it all the way home.
All right. Keep homering it all the way home, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
It's all good.
That's what I'm going to do.
You know?
Who are you picking? You going to pick the Clippers?
No. I mean, if Paul George were healthy, maybe, but no, I mean, it's going to be tough to pick them.
You going to pick the Suns?
Yeah, I think the Suns probably come out of the West if I had to bank on like a team.
Okay.
I do think the Lakers can be in the conference finals, though, like I told Russillo.
Boy, if the Lakers make it to the conference finals, even though we all know that it's championship or it's a failure.
It would be a successful season considering that where they started. Only
No
12 teams.
doubt.
Only 12 teams that made the playoffs after starting 2-10. So,
no doubt.
And I know Laker fans don't want to hear that, and I get
Right.
it, and they would be mad and blah, blah, blah.
Forget
But
about it.
if you're being reasonable,
Right.
considering where everything started, you would be okay. That would not be a bad first season for Darvin Ham, is what I would say.
If the Lakers make it to the Western Conference Finals,
Which I think is still very possible.
and they get swept in the Western Conference Finals.
Now, sweep also changes the way people feel.
All I'm saying, though, is
No,
that based
you can't.
on where this...
I don't like getting swept. I know Shaq and Kobe and those guys got swept a couple of times or whatever, but like I don't like the feel of a sweep. Like,
I don't... Who likes it? What, you think last year in Brooklyn they were like, you know, this sweep feels pretty good.
No,
I liked it.
There is no good feeling about a sweep.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is, though, is that making it to the Western Conference Finals would be an incredible result.
Yeah.
Based on where the season started.
Yeah.
Where it was at the All-Star break.
Sure.
What happened during the trade deadline.
100%.
And where they got to get into the postseason.
Yeah, 100%. If I were picking right now, like the series in the NBA right now, it would be, I mean, for what we have, right? Like, it would be, let me see, in the West, well, we don't know who the play-ins are going to be yet. I got the Warriors in 6 in that series. I would take, if Paul George doesn't play, I'm taking Phoenix, but I don't know in how many games yet. Like, if he plays, I think it could be 7. If he doesn't play, it could be 6. You know what I mean? Who knows? And then that's pretty much it. We don't really know much else. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching what happens from here.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, LeBron. Come on, King.
Well,
Put
now's
on
the
that
time.
crown.
Now's
Come
the
on.
time. Now's
Right.
the time.
Playoff LeBron. Come on.
Radio Tinder's up next. We're going to get into the Dodgers at 5:45 as they've had a rough go to begin this season as well. A little uneven, and I think you and I had kind of predicted that potentially, and some of the drama around the pitch clock. We'll get to all that coming up in a second, but first,
Southland. You know what we do at 5:30. Radio Tinder time, we like to play a TV theme. On this day, back in 2009, a show I didn't watch, but I know a lot of people watched. Parks and Recreation premiered on NBC.
Best show ever.
Better known sometimes as Parks and Rec. You can follow her at Lindsay Baseball on Twitter or Instagram. Don't forget about our sponsor, Tequila Mandala. Always swipe right on Tequila Mandala. Take it away, producer Lindsay.
Thanks, Christopher. But I'm waiting for you to say something. Was this the show that you really like, George?
Oh, my God, yeah. Better than The Office, too. Fight me. I don't care.
Really? You want to fight over it?
Yeah, fight me. No, because The Office fans get really upset. I actually had that take in one of my FaceTimes on Around the Horn. I actually went and said in my 30 seconds that listed why Parks and Rec is better than The Office. And it, of all the FaceTimes I've ever done, it was like the one that went the most viral. I think that one, there was like a food one that I did that went super viral too.
Well, it's a controversial statement, you know.
Office people get really mad. And
Listen,
Parks,
Office versus Parks and Rec is kind of like Rihanna versus Beyonce. Once you're on the wrong side, you know, you got problems.
Well, that's fine. I'm on the Parks and Rec side. I'll take Leslie Knope all day.
Now, was Parks and Rec, was that Tina Fey and...
No, it's not Tina Fey.
No.
Which one? Who's Parks
Amy
and Rec?
Poehler.
Amy Poehler. They're not on the show together?
No, Tina Fey was on the show with Alec Baldwin, 30 Rock.
Okay, so, all right.
Why isn't
Which was
this-
also a good show.
Why isn't this one of those things where both can be true? You can't like both of them?
No, you're either one or the other. I didn't like The Office. It was whatever.
I must tell you guys, both The Office and Parks and Rec, not well-versed on either.
Not shocked.
Not shocked, but also you really miss out on good television. Both very good, but I can watch. Let me tell you something. My wife and I very rarely agree on television or movies or any of that stuff, and she and I can watch Parks and Rec together all the time.
It's a good rewatchable?
Oh, tons. There's like tons. Like I think FX or one of them, Comedy Central.
Except the first season.
Yeah, first season was they were testing stuff. Now, granted, it was only like 6 episodes.
But it
or
was
something like that.
rough because
But season 2, out of control. And they did like 20 episodes in season 2, so they made up for whatever the first season was. So
that's very true.
All right, well, at least listen. All I can tell you guys is I'm 3 episodes into Ted Lasso this season. So I'm glad I stuck with it. Episode 1, didn't love. Episode 2 got better. Episode 3, hysterical. And I'm getting ready now for episode 4. What's the name of the soccer player that's in Ted Lasso?
Zava.
Zava, yeah.
Zava, hilarious.
Yeah.
See, so I'm caught up on that.
Good
sort
for
of.
you. Good for you.
Football is life.
Yeah.
Football is life.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Lynn. Sorry.
That's okay. So last weekend was WWE's WrestleMania weekend here in LA, and I'm not sure if you guys saw, but Stephen A. Smith actually made an appearance on the kickoff show before the main broadcast.
Yep.
So this past Friday, during his show No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith, he talked about
his podcast.
Yeah, it's his podcast video show. He talked about his experience being ringside, and he said that it set something off inside of him. So here is what he said.
If Snoop Dogg can get in the ring, I can too.
Oh, stop.
But I ain't fighting
No, he
nobody.
can.
I want to be a bad guy manager.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I want to be the next Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Oh, that I like.
I'd be a villain.
Yeah.
I ain't going to lie. And I'd love it.
All right, so do you guys think
Yes.
Stephen A. would ever actually become a regular character on WWE?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I want you to get Stephen A. on, and I only want to talk to him about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true, obviously, but I
think
do
he
want
could
to
do
talk
it.
to him about this.
I was actually going to suggest them for later in the week, but fair
No,
enough.
he could do it. He could do it, man. Listen,
See if he can come on Thursday.
Okay.
look, Pat McAfee is jumping off the top ring rope and somersaulting into people. Stephen A. little bit older than Pat McAfee and a lot more removed from any of his athletic days. Pat McAfee's, a few years removed from playing football and probably left a bit early. But Stephen A. to be a bad guy manager, and we've all had this idea. George, I've told you the story about going backstage at a WWE show, and Sergeant Slaughter at the time was running the storylines. And I was trying to convince Sergeant Slaughter that I should be a bad guy manager, because I wanted to manage Goldberg and I wanted to manage Prince Albert, whose real name was Matt Bloom. So I wanted Kaplan to be the guy who kind of had all the Hebrew wrestlers.
Right. I mean, remember you tried to convince Jericho
that I should be his manager?
Well, I think you tried that first, and then you...
And then he called you a crumb of a nacho.
And then he called you the crumb of a nacho. Yeah.
Right. But he's
What was
good.
that,
He can
Chris? I'm
talk.
sorry.
Crumb of a nacho.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I like that Stephen A. has the same idea.
Yeah.
You
So
know-
you feel like if you and Stephen A. are on the same wavelength, then you're on to something.
Well, I've been on to something with Stephen A. for a long time. It's just that he committed his life to becoming a star at ESPN, and I committed my life to having 4 kids. And now, too many years later, I'm still trying to do the same thing. You feel me?
Have more kids?
No, not have more kids. Now I'm going back into the Stephen A. world. Now I'm working for ESPN.
Oh, right.
Well, second part of the question.
Yeah.
If you were a wrestler, would you be either a heel or a babyface?
Oh, heel all day. So much more fun.
You too, Cappy?
Probably not. I'd probably be a babyface.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I would
everybody would
love
love
to
me.
be a heel.
Yeah.
Heel is so much more fun. So much more fun.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been a heel in a wrestling ring before.
Yeah.
Where, like, it was great, and I grabbed a chair and I went after somebody in the middle of a arm wrestling match that had gone wrong to start a WWE promotion. And I liked it. I liked everybody booing at me and yelling at me, and I was cursing at everybody and yelling back when I had the microphone. I'm going to tell everybody what a bunch of losers you are, blah, blah, blah. But I think I'll be a babyface.
Aw.
But I could go back and forth like Doth the Road did, which
the
I didn't
way-
get to see last night, the A&E special on Doth the Road.
Oh,
it
you
was
missed
fantastic, Cappy. You're gonna love it. It's great.
Did you record it?
I think I set like a timer, like tell me when it's on, one of those kinds of deals.
And you didn't watch it, right? Yeah.
No, I went to sleep last night. I was like, I'm going to watch this thing. And then I was like, nah. I tried to find it. I couldn't figure it out on YouTube TV. It was a whole thing.
Your remote didn't tell you?
I should have asked my remote. I'll try right now. Doth the Road, the American Dream. Let me see what happens.
Maybe you need to use your remote voice.
You know what showed up? You know what showed up?
What?
Does the Road, the American Dream.
You should whisper. Go whisper.
Wait a second. Here it is. Doth the Road, the American Dream, right here, Daddy. You don't know about hard times, Daddy. Oh, I'm going into YouTube TV right now.
See, there you go, Cappy. All you need is your voice to make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, so next one. The Tampa Bay Rays are off to the best start of any major league team.
Dude.
Yeah, crazy. They're having one of the most dominant starts ever, as they are a perfect 9-0 so far, and they're doing things that teams haven't done in decades. Here are a few of them. Each of the team's 9 wins have come by at least 4 runs. Wow. The last time an MLB team had as many consecutive wins, all by at least 4 runs, was the 1939 Yankees with their 10 consecutive wins that led them to a World Series championship. And their run differential is currently up to plus 57.
Insane.
Which, for context, that's 35 runs better than any other team in baseball right now.
Yeah.
So
the Brewers are the next team at plus 25.
Yep, and as ESPN's own Jeff Passan points out, this is the first time since 1884 that a team... Whoops, my phone's ringing there.
Is that your burner phone?
No, that's my regular phone.
That's right. We should discuss how you have a burner phone.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Let me finish spewing out Jeff Patton's stats.
A little later, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the first time since 1884 that a team has had a run differential of more than 50 through their first 9 games. And for perspective, that 1884 season was the first year pitchers were allowed to throw overhand, and the pitcher's mound was only 50 feet from home plate.
Wow.
So, do these early season stats and records mean anything to you at all? Swipe left or swipe right?
Yeah, swipe right. It's huge, dude. It's insane what they're doing. And look, they've been good for years. They played, obviously, the Dodgers in a World Series. Like, they've been very good for a long time. Andrew Friedman's old club was built the right way. And, they continue to find a way to mine great players in the minors and bring them up.
The Rays right now are in the bottom of the 8th. And there's 2 outs, and they're playing the Red Sox, and they're up 1-0. Interesting that we're talking about all these runs that they've scored and the run differential, and tonight they're in a 1-0 game at the end of the 8th inning.
You're not going to win every game by 6 or whatever.
So I'll just say this. The question was, does all of this make it to your radar? For me, I got to be honest, not really. It's 9 games into the season, and I haven't really paid much attention other than, just hearing the story.
It's already 5% of the season.
Yeah, I'm not. This doesn't really register on my radar yet.
Okay.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, 9-0 is impressive.
I mean, if the Padres were 9-0, you'd be talking about it.
Well, or if the Dodgers were 9-0, I'd be talking about it. But because those are the teams that I follow.
Gutty little Padres.
Dodgers are not. They are not.
Well, we'll get to them in a second. But go ahead, Lindsay.
All right,
You got
last
one more
here. So in October of 2022, I told you guys that. Remember Billy McFarland, the Fyre Festival guy?
Yeah.
He had gotten out of jail, and he said he was planning on putting on another festival. And yesterday, he tweeted, quote, "Fyre Festival 2 is finally happening. Tell me why you should be invited." Well, the details after his tweet are pretty much, non-existent, and he has no timeline for the festival and whether or not any musical guests are interested in attaching their names to it. But I wanted to ask, since he spent so much time in jail for the first Fyre Festival fraud, do you think that he will actually make it happen this time? Swipe left or swipe right? Cappy, you go first.
I'm going to swipe left and say no. I'm going to say that reputation hurt, maybe destroyed. I can't imagine people putting money into this deal. So, and I really don't even remember that much about the whole story until you kind of...
People showed up there and there were tents.
Yeah. No, I mean, you reminded us, and I didn't really remember it until you kind of said he went to jail for all this stuff. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be able to pull this off.
2 really good documentaries on it, by the way. One on Hulu and one on Netflix.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. By the
I
way,
watch Dusty Rhodes first.
Speaking of documentaries, before we close Radio Tinder, there is going to be one that's going to be on FX Live, 5-part series, and then eventually on Hulu, about Tupac and his mom, which I saw the trailer for. It looks incredible. So if you're a Tupac fan, you should definitely watch it. So
I just got to find time to watch all these docs.
Yeah. All right, that is Radio Tinder, brought to us each and every day by our friends at Tequila Mandala. Always swipe right on Tequila Mandala. Award-winning, small batch premium sipping tequila made from the finest mature agaves, available everywhere fine tequilas are sold. Visit their website, tequilamandala.com, and demand the extraordinary with Tequila Mandala. All right, Linz, you mentioned, or Cap, you mentioned the Dodgers. So the Dodgers, not so hot, 500 ball, and you and I kind of talked about this before the season started. We could kind of see this coming a mile away. Let's dive into it and some of the issues with the pitch clock next. Hey. Wow, to the very last drop. You forget how sensual these songs are.
If you listen to some of them, it's like, what? Like some of the songs where I'm like, oh my God, that's what they were talking about. I was
You mean
in
when
middle
they said,
school.
"I want your body"? You didn't think that was
I
like?
mean, I was young. She was young when these songs came out, and I was belting them. I'm sure Lindsay was too.
Yeah,
you know.
we were like probably like, I was probably like 12. I don't know.
Yeah.
when
I
the
mean,
song came
Keith
out.
Sweat is definitely in the Mount Rushmore, the top 5
Yeah.
of baby making music.
When
There's
you
no
said
question.
Babyface, I was trying to throw in Keith Sweat. I know
Keith
I said
Sweat is
Luther.
in there.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat is in that Babyface. Him and like Babyface were like you know like the top 2 seeds in that era.
Yeah.
Isn't Mount Rushmore 4 guys?
Yes.
And yet you just put somebody into a top 5.
Right. I said or a top 5.
Okay. So we're going to add a Rushmore.
No, what I said you can do
Or.
a Mount Rushmore or a top 5.
Oh, okay. So it's 4 or 5. Top 4 or 5.
Right. Depending on
understood.
how far you want to go down this path. Because you've already, for the previous generation, you've given Barry White and who was the other? Marvin Gaye.
No, I didn't give Marvin Gaye.
That was Lindsay.
That was Lindsay.
I
Okay.
said
That's
Luther.
what people would answer on.
Marvin Gaye is a good one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then in the next generation, you'd have Babyface and Keith Sweat. So that would be 4. That would be a Mount Rushmore. But if you want to, there's got to be a 5th somewhere, I'm sure.
I mean, you can also do like groups because then you could do, you know what I'm saying? Like that's different.
Yeah.
I've really never used
Like In
Keith
Vogue?
Sweat or Babyface for baby making
SWV.
music.
I was thinking more like New Edition, Boys to Men.
New Edition.
Boyz II Men
I don't
is a
think
good
of Boys
one.
to Men as baby making music.
I
to
mean,
Men.
we
feel
could do
like
some
it is.
stuff.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right, actually.
Like,
Really? You could do some stuff, Laura? Is that right? You could
More
do some
beat
stuff?
you know?
Really?
Just
Oh.
saying. I don't know.
Really? The Backstreet Boys are going to hook
No,
you
no,
in the boo up,
no,
huh?
Not
no,
Backstreet.
No, I didn't
Oh.
say Backstreet.
New Edition.
Like, yes, because, you know, like New Kids on the Block. I mean, okay. That New Kids on the Block wouldn't do it for me, but just saying.
So, Cap, if you don't think that these songs qualify, what is your type of baby making music then?
Well, no, I'm not saying that they don't qualify. I'm just saying that I don't use them.
Right. So, what's your idea of that?
I really got to say that I got to think of the name of the album, but I had this Sting album that I used to use.
A Sting album?
Yeah, not
Wait,
Sting
The
the
Tears
wrestler.
of Rose or something
Not-
like that?
Not Sting the wrestler, Sting the singer,
Yeah.
you know? And I wish I could remember the name of the album.
Oh, I mean, if we wanted to go one-hit wonders, though, like Freak Me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
You know?
If y'all said New Edition was a no-no, yours is definitely a hell no.
I mean, Sting. I mean, that's. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not gonna knock you,
Aggressiveness.
Cappy, because I don't. I mean, I guess Sting has some music like that. That could be. It just depends on your speed, I guess.
Yeah.
To Laura's
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotta,
true.
I gotta
That's
say,
true. That's
I gotta
true,
say
you
that
know?
I gotta think of the name of this album, but it worked 4 times. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, right.
Times. Is that
You
like
feel
the
me?
song where
Oh.
it's like, when we walk through fields of something?
Yeah, we walked through fields of sun.
Or that song that he did that
Fields
Diddy
of
ripped
gold.
off? Oh, there
Yes.
we go, gold. I was thinking gray, but I knew that wasn't the right word. What about the
Anybody,
Diddy song?
can anybody help a brother out here? Does anybody know the name of the Sting album? It was like a
Desert Rose is what you're
no,
talking
I
about.
don't think that was it, man.
The one
The
where he has,
Desert
like,
Rose,
the
yeah.
weird, like, you know.
That's when he was all tantric.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
I'm trying to see if I can figure
By
this
the way,
out.
Jodeci.
That's a good one.
Jodeci's good. too.
Jodeci's.
Yeah.
I was really sad this weekend. Funchy went to go see New Edition,
Yeah.
and I wanted to go. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
But another time.
Jodeci is good. I wanna get freaky with you.
Jodeci's great. Like Drew Hill, I really was into Drew Hill too.
I mean, there's.
By the way, that song that
Levels.
you were just singing, I don't think that's Jodeci.
That isn't Jodeci. You're right. Who
It's
sings
Silk.
"Freaky with
Freak
You"?
Me,
Silk.
Baby.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that's a
Come
good
on,
jam.
George, do better, man.
Yeah.
That is probably
Freak
like one of the
Me
top
is
5.
Freak Me
Yes,
is Jodeci.
exactly.
Right.
Come on,
Okay.
do better, dude. Do better.
A lot of freak songs, you know?
There is. There is. It's hard.
That
I
was
mean,
a
it's all. It
big
was,
word back then.
and it was also 30 years ago.
Exactly.
Don't forget about Super Freak, by the way.
Yep.
No, that's
There's
not
another
baby
contemporary.
music.
There's another contemporary reference for you.
Right, but so
Rick James in the house.
it's funny that we're talking about this because my mom was talking about music and how my nieces were listening to very provocative, very out there music, and I said, "Mom, your music was not any better. It's just slower." So I feel like my mom has definitely been this person that's like, "Don't listen to that." And I was like, "Did you not pay attention to what you were listening to?"
Right. Exactly.
Just
Adina Howard, Freak Like Me. That's also another freak song. From
Oh,
that era.
there is more
That's a
freaking.
good jam.
Yeah. All right. The Dodgers' rough weekend. Now, before the season started, we had Blake on.
Balake.
Correct. And I said to him, Blake, is the division kind of catching up to him a little bit, right? Because he and I talked about, I said, I feel like Arizona is going to end up becoming the National League version of what Baltimore was last year. Like a bunch of young guys that played around 500 ball that get you excited to think, oh, this team is coming. You know what I mean? And he agreed. He thought that was the case. And, we saw some of that, obviously. But you and I, Cappy, also talked about, they've got holes in ways that they haven't had in a number of years.
Well, I mean, look, just coming into the season, and if we're just looking at on paper, you know what you're going to get, or at least you know what you think you're going to get with Julio Urias. You are hopeful that Clayton Kershaw can remain healthy. But after that, you don't have Walker Buehler. Gratterall, not Gratterall. I'm losing the name here. Any help? Anybody can throw me a line? No. With a G.
Gonsolin.
Anybody?
Gonsolin.
Thank you. Nobody. I was wondering if anybody was going to send me a life preserver.
No, I didn't know where you were going.
Well, it was with a G.
Yeah.
Gonsolin is hurt and really didn't pitch very much in the second half of last season. So if you were a Dodger fan and you were realistic coming into this season, Urias 1, okay, fine. Kershaw, hopeful. Dustin May coming off of Tommy John and being out for like a year and a half, essentially. Yeah. Syndergaard, you're not really, really sure. And then what they got yesterday from this young kid, Michael Grove, I mean, guy gave up 9 runs, 12 hits, got 10 outs, just nothing. And Dave Roberts is like, look, they just beat up on us 3 out of 4 in every way.
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, let me just say this, and I'll be it's early guy. It's 10 games.
I get it, but it's still like a little. I think that this is going to be more the norm this year, where they're going to be challenged to win the division. Like, I don't think this is like a small thing, and because last year they beat up on Colorado and Arizona, and I mean Colorado's still not that good in my opinion, but Arizona's going to be like a pretty good team, and the gutty little Padres obviously are going to be there. The Giants are, I feel like, going to be hovering around 500. So I think that the division has gotten a little more challenging for them in a year where they're a little weaker.
You got to come up with a nickname for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, are they gutty? Are they little? Or are they like some sort of powerhouse?
The Sneaky Snakes. How about that?
There you go. Sneaky Arizona is not too bad.
Yeah.
Look, I think we're only 10 games in, and the Dodgers are 5-5. So it's not like the sky is falling. It's just that everybody is so accustomed to them being so dominant over the course of the last 10 years, and no one in the division has really presented any competition. Mostly because nobody in the division has anywhere near the kind of money. And all of a sudden, we know the story about how San Diego has gone nuts and spent a ton of money to sign a bunch of guys that are going to be in their early 40s by the time these contracts are done. So if I were the Dodger fans right now, would I be worried? I was worried coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
But at 5-5, when the leaders in the division are 6-4 and 6-4 through 10 games, I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I am, because nothing is really going well for them, I think. You know what I mean? Like, the pitching's not that great. The hitting has been kind of hit and miss through 10 games. Now, granted, to your point, it is early. I get it. But eventually, that stuff runs out, right? And I think they have real holes. So I don't know how those are going to get fixed necessarily.
Well, what do you mean? You keep telling me that Andrew Friedman, in your opinion, is the smartest guy in pro sports.
Right, but they're
so how do you think it's going to get fixed?
They're also organization. Well, they've made a decision, right, that they're going to have to that they're going to play young guys this year, and there's growing pains with that. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to still be in it in the end. As far as the regular season is concerned, I do think that'll be the case, but it's going to be more of a slog this year than it's been in a while.
Yes, it will be a much more competitive division this year because the Dodgers will not run away with it.
Right.
At least I don't think they will.
Right.
And I also don't think that the Padres will run away with it. I certainly don't expect Arizona to run away with it. I don't think San Francisco is really going to compete for the division title, and Colorado probably never will. But I just don't think that the Padres, no matter how much money they've spent, and even when they get Tatis back later this month, I don't think the Padres will run away. I think the Dodgers will be there all season long, but they're not going to dominate the division in all likelihood the way they have over the course of the last 10 years. Now, did you say earlier that their hitting is hit and miss?
Yeah, I think that you look at Max Muncy. I mean, Max Muncy's your 4-hitter, and he's hitting, I mean, I have to check again, but he was hitting like 115, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And I know they put up runs this weekend, but like early in the season, like those first 4 games, you're like, the hitting was like hit or miss. They had the one game, obviously, where Taylor and Hayward went off and hit home runs. But, I just still think that they're not consistent at anything just yet, in my opinion. Like, and I think the pitching is a glaring hole that you and I discussed.
I love that you're saying that the hitting is hit and miss, because just by virtue of like being a batter,
they're going to hit or miss.
Sometimes you're going to hit.
Yeah.
And then more often than not, you're going to miss.
Right.
So just by definition alone,
correct.
It's hit and miss, man.
It is.
And you're right.
It's
Max
like in
Muncy's hitting
basketball.
121.
It's like in basketball when they say it's a make or miss league.
Right. You're either going to make it or you're going to miss it.
Right.
Max Muncy, 121.
Yeah, not good.
Mm-mm.
That can't be your four-hitter. They need to rearrange the lineup already.
Oh, my God, already?
Dude, you can't let somebody hit 121 or whatever the hell.
Why not?
I don't care if it's only 10 games. That's enough of a sample size for me to say, like, probably not a good idea considering he struggled last year.
He's got 33 at-bats.
Right.
Give him 100
What did he
at-bats
do
and then
last
figure
year?
it out.
Remember last year?
I mean, yeah, but he's one of your guys. And so if you know Dave Roberts, and I know you do, you know that when Dave is loyal to his guys,
right, but you can be loyal and just drop him in the order.
I mean, come on. This early in the season? I mean, really?
I mean, last year he hit under the Mendoza.
Where is the Mendoza exactly?
200.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I knew what the Mendoza was.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Taylor's under the Mendoza at 125. And I'm just taking a look at some of these numbers right here.
Yeah.
I mean, J.D. Martinez.
Do you know who
289.
Mendoza is?
Isn't she the girl who used to play softball?
No, that's Jessica Mendoza.
Okay.
She definitely hit over the Mendoza.
Okay.
It's Mario Mendoza.
And what's Mario Mendoza's deal?
He played for the Pirates, I want to say.
Yeah.
Career average 215.
Really?
But a lot of years under the Mendoza.
I did not know that was a real guy. I kind of thought that the Mendoza line was kind of like an equator somewhere that I never learned about.
Yeah.
And that, if you were under it, I just thought it was a phrase. I didn't know it was a real dude.
Yeah. I believe George Brett used to call it the Mendoza line.
So George Brett gets credit for the Mendoza line.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Cap, did you know that Cy Young was actually a person, too?
Yeah, that I knew. Cy Young I knew. That I got.
Tommy
that I
John?
got.
Tommy John surgery?
Tommy
That
John
was
surgery.
Well, you were
Tommy
alive
John,
when
real
Tommy
guy.
John was pitching.
Yes,
so there
Tommy
was that.
John, real guy. Cy Young, real guy.
Yeah.
I will buy that.
Yeah.
Did I know Cy Young was a real guy?
It's a funny question.
That is good, Linz.
Yeah.
I mean, you're Lindsay Baseball. Of course, you would know that.
All right, coming up next, Cappy, let's get into the pitch clock stuff because that also created havoc this weekend. And do the Lakers have the right rhythm to be a dangerous team in the playoffs? We'll get into what that means. Dave McMiniman will join us at 6:15. Stick around. We're back.
ESPN.
Sedano and Kap for your afternoon right now on 710 ESPN.
It's time for what you need to know. What you need to know.
Let's do it. What you need to know right now.
What you need to know is brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times, less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. Linz, what do you got?
Well, the Super Mario Brothers movie racked up a blockbuster $146 million in its opening weekend, earning nearly $205 million in its first 5 days of release.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Saw it.
Yep. Oh, you
saw it?
Okay, well,
You saw this movie?
Yeah, we'll get your review.
Talk to
once
Arya loves Super Mario Brothers. We play the games at home. So, yeah, we went to see the movie.
All right,
Nice.
I'm going to get your review in a second here. The animated movie, of course, squashed expectations and steamrolled the competition at the domestic box office, landing a number of records. It currently stands as the biggest opening weekend of the year, overtaking the Ant-Man and the Wasp debut, which was $106 million. And it's also the second biggest debut ever for an animated title, which surpassed the $135 million opening of 2016's Finding Dory. So, how was this blockbuster hit, Sedano?
It was cute. You know, it was very much in line with the games, the history of the games. There was probably one thing I learned. I don't want to spoil it for people who are Mario gamers, that I did not know.
I did not know that.
Despite
that is wild.
playing Mario games all my life. And
You can't tell us?
I don't want to spoil it for people.
None of us are going to see it.
No, but the audience might.
Excuse me.
I'm probably going to end up watching it on
Yeah.
streaming once it comes out.
No, I'm going to take my niece and nephews.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So anyway,
you're worried
super
about, like,
cute,
ruining?
super cute movie.
Yes.
A number, like most of these cartoon movies, a couple of things for adults which were funny. Great cast. I mean, the cast was incredible.
Who's in it?
Seth Rogen, Jack Black.
Okay.
Who's the girl? Princess Peach was. God, I know the actress, but I don't know.
Princess Peach?
Yeah, no, I know that's who Princess Peach is, but the actress.
Was it Julia Roberts?
She's in that show. That's the streaming show, Queen's something or other.
Courtney Cox?
Lindsay, you
Man,
know.
I'm looking up
I'm
their
looking.
IMDb.
And
She's on
Taylor
one of
Joy?
those
And
Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yeah.
Anya
Oh, the
something.
Queen's Gambit.
Yes, she's on that show. Yeah.
Her, yes.
She's very good.
Yes.
Ooh, Jack Black.
Charlie Day was in it. Keegan Michael Key, Chris Pratt. Yeah, there was a lot of people.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I must admit, because I don't have little kids anymore. Like, this is a little kid movie, right?
I mean, I would also say if you played the video game, like you would enjoy it because you saw it. Now it's gotten crappy reviews, but I don't buy that. Like the audience reviews are through the roof. It's like 90-something% because I think the people that know the game series enjoy it.
So all these critics that probably young as hell.
Well, but critics don't. Big popular movies like this don't get good. They get destroyed. You know, it's all these crappy movies. Like you talked about Seth Rogen. What was the name of that movie? The Fablemans. I told you I went and saw. Terrible movie. Awful. Horrible movie.
You're still on that, huh?
Oh my God, horrible. But got great reviews. A movie like this is going to do well at the box office and get bad reviews.
So which one's more important? Probably the money.
Yeah,
every
for
time.
sure. For sure.
So
Also,
anyway,
I miss John Leguizamo, by the way.
I thought the movie was great for kids. Like I had fun. Like and it went by fast. It was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So
The
played
original
the
Mario
games.
movie had John Leguizamo, and that was like my first crush when I was young.
yeah. No, Chris Pratt and what's his face
Which
from
one's his
Always
face?
Sunny in Philadelphia.
Danny DeVito?
No, the guy who plays Charlie.
Charlie
Oh.
Day. Right.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Danny DeVito was in that show, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes, he
That
was.
was a guess. I mean, you don't have to get exhausted.
I know.
by it.
I know. Charlie Day. Charlie Day. Why would he be in one of the Mario movies though?
I don't know, 'cause
I
he's
mean,
small.
I could actually probably see him being in one before I would imagine like some of the other guys.
I thought maybe
don't know.
Danny DeVito was
I
playing
mean, Jack
like one
Black
of the
was
brothers.
Bowser.
That's a good one though. I feel like that's good casting right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Seth Rogen was Donkey Kong.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
really?
Good too,
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
I like Donkey Kong. That was a good game.
Yeah.
I love when you see people like when you see these animated movies and you're like, oh, who is that voice? It's so good and I know it so well. And it's like, oh, it's someone like Jack Black, where it's like, man, I've seen a lot of movies with him in it.
Yeah. All right, that is what you need to know. Brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times, less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. All right, real quick before we get back to the Lakers, and McMiniman is going to join us at 6:15.
McMiniman.
Yes, McMiniman. The pitch clock. Lindsay, what the hell happened with the pitch clock this weekend? Everybody was freaking out.
Well, I will say that I was talking to you about earlier today when Travis and Slee were talking about how Travis went to an Angels game over the weekend.
Yeah.
And similarly to what Ramona said, he was kind of complaining that, like, hey, maybe the pitch clock is like a tiny bit too fast because he said he went to go get a beer and, like, he was gone for maybe 10 minutes, came back to his seat, and he missed, like, an entire inning and 2 home runs. And I feel like a lot of people that are actually like attending the games in person feel like maybe the game has been sped up too much. So much so that even some stadiums are now changing the beer law, because usually most of them won't sell beer past the 7th inning because by then people are normally way too drunk. Mm-hmm. Well, now a lot of teams are just selling it the whole game because the games are going by so quickly that they're not ending beer sales early.
That's just it. It's like baseball was saying, hey, we want to make the game move faster. We want to be more attractive to younger people with shorter attention spans. So let's make this game move faster by having this pitch clock. It all seemed like a great idea. Then when the owners started to see the beer revenues falling in the first 10 games, like, wait, what's going on here? Wait a second. I mean, I know that we're charging $17 for beer. Screw it. Charge $20 because each guy's only going to be able to have 2. They can't have 3 because the pitch clock is screwing everything up. But I will just tell you guys, watching on television, I don't get that sensation. I don't get that feeling like this is too fast, this is too rushed. I haven't been to a ball game yet. We're 10 games in. George, have you gone to a ball game yet?
I have not.
So I don't have the in-game, in-stadium perspective of I got up to go get a beer and I missed an entire inning. That's a risk you take. You know? You get up to go get a beer or go to the bathroom.
That's going to happen even in a 3-hour game, right?
Right, right. Yeah. So sorry, Trav. I know you missed a couple of home runs at an Angels game.
Right.
That happening no matter what.
Here's what I would say. I would agree with that. And then I would also add that, hey, you're just going to have to adjust, right? Like you're going to have to figure it out. Figure out what the best time to go is. Maybe go get there a little early, right? And get a beer right at the beginning. Maybe double fist. You know what I'm saying?
Or wait for the guy to come around and go, cold beer here.
Right.
I got cold beer here.
There's that too.
Cold beer.
Yeah. And then I would also add that the stadiums, because of the pitch clock, maybe it'd be smarter if they added some concession help to get through it faster.
They should also open earlier, maybe like a half hour.
Right.
Because when I go to the game, I want to like chill and relax, and a lot of times it's more of a social thing, you know?
I'd like to get all my stuff early, though. I like to
Yeah.
buy the food and the drinks or whatever I'm going to get it early, have a seat, and then that way I get it out of the way, and then occasionally if I need to get up for another drink or another item of food, then I will, but for the most part, that's the way I like to handle it.
All right, when are we all going to go on a little jump over to a Dodger game? Although, George, you're out for the next month or so.
Not really.
Well, I thought you
No,
got
we
a
could
whole
go-
bunch of NBA stuff. You
I mean,
gotta
I
do.
do, but I'll be doing shows most of the days.
All right. Well, let's figure out like a good night to go and see a Dodger game after the show.
Yeah. I mean, right. I may not be here, but I'll be doing the show.
Right.
most
Well,
days.
what I'm saying is you
You
won't
say
be
when
able
I'm
to-
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, probably June would be a good
I don't know.
time.
The problem is, Lori, you think that the show ends at 7, and if a Dodger game starts at, call it 6:45.
It's going to take an hour to get there.
And
I've done
so,
it a few times.
so the game is moving so fast now because of the pitch clock. We'll get there in the top of the ninth.
Yes.
Sounds like. That's terrible.
I mean, most games start at like 7:10, so you're good.
Yeah, but the last, I want to say, unless we get out early, which, we only get out early for Lakers games. I went twice last year to games with Mason Bergman and them, and both times I didn't, I left
Did
as
you
soon as
drive?
the show ended, yeah.
No,
and
Uber.
I left, and it was a good hour and 15, 20 minutes.
Uber.
Yeah, game
You
tonight is
have
at
to Uber.
6:45, and this game is in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's different. Like, if you're here, it usually starts at 7:10, So if you Uber, you'll probably get there by, 7:45. You do have to walk up because the Uber lot will only take you to a certain point. But it's better if you Uber than if you drive, because if you drive, you're stuck there, and then parking, it's a mess.
See, when I went, I was stuck on the traffic, going
To Vince
not
Gully?
getting off of the ramp, getting off of the highway ramp. That was the longest. So
Who's got the
even
good
if
parking passes? That's what we need.
Even if
Me.
you have the good parking passes, though, Cappy, it's not
Doesn't
going to
matter.
matter because I got backed up before I even exited the highway.
Wow,
It
all
was
right.
completely stopped.
Yeah, Stadium Way on the 110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people said it's like that pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Could I e-bike over there faster?
I don't know if you. That's. I mean, I don't know.
Some people, it's funny because people down Vince Gully, you see all the scooters are right when you enter the parking lot because people do that. Honestly, Uber is the way to go for me. It's not even that expensive. The last time I went, I think it was $12.
Hey, speaking of Uber, later on this evening during Dealer's Choice, I have a major, major problem with Uber, and I will leave it to the three of you to decide how I proceed. Okay? I will tell you what happened in an Uber ride that I still to this moment have yet to open the Uber app after this ride, and I haven't tipped I haven't rated.
Dude, you're bad.
No. You got to hear me out. Don't be judgmental. Be flexible. Give me a chance to at least state my case before you go all judgmental on me. Okay? Like a major serious situation happened inside this Uber. And I haven't opened the app since. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to tell on the guy, like be a tattletale, or if I'm going to give him a low rating, or if I'm not going to tip this dude. I haven't figured it out yet. I'll leave it to you three. Court of public opinion.
How about, you want to do it quickly, or do you want to just move on?
This is going to need some time.
All right, we'll do it later then.
I'm going to need to stretch out a little bit.
Okay, great. So let's talk to McMiniman next. You ready?
Yeah, McMiniman.
Yeah, exactly. McMiniman next. Ooh, come on now. Speaking of Tupac, again, check out that documentary that's coming out. I believe it said April 21st on FX on about Tupac and his mom, which the trailer looked incredible. So watch it there or on Hulu, apparently. What's that?
Remind us on 420. Like if you could put it in your calendar that you're going to need to give us a reminder on 421.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm a big Tupac guy, and I watched Tupac Resurrection, which is also a documentary. So I'm curious to see how much different the FX version is than that one. So,
yeah, priority on my documentary list is Dusty Rhodes, The American Dream on A&E that I missed last night. But
right.
I'll get to it.
Such a priority that you missed it last night.
Well, I mean, listen, George, I got tired last night. What can I tell you, man?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch Ted Lasso last night either.
Thankfully, Dave McMiniman is not doesn't have your issues with getting tired, because this man is going to be working hard, particularly the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, in theory, he should be working the next couple of weeks. Now, Dave, and of course, Dave joins us here on the station regularly, does a phenomenal job covering your Los Angeles Lakers for us here at ESPN. So, Dave, I do believe that the Lakers can have a deep run in the playoffs. How deep, we'll see, but I think it has to be from the 7 line, okay? Because I think if they win this game against Minnesota, which I think they should win, I like them against Memphis in a series. And then I know the Warriors are getting Wiggins back, and in theory they're the favorite in that series. So let's just argue, for the sake of argument, say they come out. I like the Lakers matchup against the Warriors. So if you're telling me the Lakers could be in the conference finals, yeah, I think it's possible, but they have to be on the 7 line on that side of the bracket. What do you think?
I'm with you there, because let's say they mess around, lose to Minnesota on Tuesday night. Then you got to play again on Friday when you have already had your players openly talk about how tired they are, finishing the season with 7 games in 12 days. You're playing again, then you're going quickly on the road to the altitude of Denver. And even if you get past Denver, which I think it would be a tough prospect at that point because Denver's coming off a week of rest, then you got to play either the Clippers or the Suns. Like, I think it ends there. I think it would be pretty improbable for them to beat Denver coming off, 2 extra games this week. So, yeah, you got to beat Minnesota. tomorrow night, and then we'll see what happens. Playing at their best, the Lakers certainly can beat Memphis. But and Memphis obviously has Clark out, and they have Steven Adams out. But Memphis is no slouch, and that would be an upset. Like we can't expect them just to beat Memphis because they've had this late season momentum.
Dave, the way you just said it, they gotta beat Minnesota tomorrow night. They're at home, number one, and number two, they're playing against a team that now has lost two guys over punching incidents. One where one guy swings at a teammate, and the other where the guy decides to, punch a wall. So not only are they home, but they're playing against a team that is, as much as it's incredible that they won yesterday, they got to win based on what Minnesota's bringing to the floor tomorrow night, right?
Absolutely. And Minnesota has had a lot of success, actually, against the LeBron James Lakers since LeBron came to L.A. Lakers on this past road trip when they went 4-0 away from Los Angeles, they did win in Minnesota. That just raised LeBron's record to 2-5 in Minnesota since he became a Laker. Now, of course, playing in L.A. is going to help here, but that Minnesota team is still big and still talented when you remove Rudy Gobert and when you remove McDaniels. Now, McDaniels, I think, is the bigger loss because I actually believe that offensively, Minnesota may be pulling Gobert anyway because that's what Anthony Davis's presence causes teams to do. But McDaniels is a loss for them, and you just got to jump on it. And hopefully, LA fans in the building get on the Lakers side. This is the first home playoff game with full capacity crowd, or play-in game, or postseason game, I guess we should say, since LeBron came to LA, and it's going to be the first one, period, full capacity crowd since 2013 when the Lakers got swept by the Spurs. I think a great atmosphere would certainly help things get it out of being in the balance early because the Lakers still have a ton at stake in terms of half the roster trying to play well in the postseason to guarantee that the Lakers front office will open up the purse strings and want to bring them back this summer.
That's a really interesting point, George. Did you catch that last part of what Dave McMenamin just said?
I did, yeah. It is all of this is important. I think that all of this stuff is somewhat interconnected in a lot of ways, right? Like their success will lead to potentially what this roster will look like next year. And if it doesn't, if there's not any success, then they are in deep trouble from a roster building perspective.
No, but it's a really good point, I think, Dave, that if they win and they do something in the postseason, there's going to give the front office an energy that says, hey, look, we made these moves. We didn't have them that long. We had a couple of injuries along the way. But you know what? This roster is probably enough. Let's run it back or try to run it back.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Did it make a lot of sense when I told you that a month ago?
I don't know. I don't know. It depends. Like certain days, certain days you make sense, and certain days it just doesn't register with me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, McMenamin is brilliant. There's no debating that. But I just it goes to show you don't even listen to me. I mean, I'm hurt. I got to be honest.
Yeah, right.
McMenamin, Lindsay has a question for you. Go ahead, Lindsay.
So, Dave, I know that you saw, obviously, playoff for LeBron back in those runs with both the Heat and the Cavs. And it's been since 2018 since we saw, the real playoff LeBron, where he just seems like he can just, turn it on. It's just a switch that he flips at the end of a game and goes completely nuclear. Do you think that there's any way, shape, or form that he still has any of that left in him at all?
I think there's some there, Lindsay, and he will find the moment when he can tap into it. But I think this Lakers team is best served finding playoff AD. If Anthony Davis can be the guy that he's been in for long stretches this year, and particularly, the guy who was just Western Conference Player of the Week 2 weeks ago when the Lakers won 3 must-win games on that road trip where he was averaging basically 40 and 11 with a couple blocks per game, shooting 60% from the field. That's going to get them further, I believe, than LeBron trying to recapture playoff LeBron in year 20 at 38 years old, only a couple weeks removed from a month-long torn tendon injury in his right foot. That doesn't mean that he's not going to have a brilliant quarter here or there. It doesn't mean that when it's crunch time, he's not going to be the guy with the ball in his hands. But I think carrying you night in, night out, I think everyone involved would be best served if that's Anthony Davis.
Yeah, if he's the best player, you have a legit shot of being a championship. The 38-year-old guy can't be the guy carrying you off an injury where he was lucky to find the LeBron James of foot doctors.
Well, there's only one, George. There's only one
listen,
LeBron James of foot doctors.
I thought
LeBron found him.
That was a pretty hilarious line, to be honest with you. I kind of was like, wait, he's what? But anyway.
But you never know, though. Like, when you need a performance like LeBron, like you just recently got where he scores 36 points.
Yeah.
I mean, you may need that. But, Dave, I'm with you 1,000%. This whole season has been about it should run through AD. So put your money where your mouth is, and actually run it through AD the entire time. And when you need one of these performances by LeBron, maybe he still has it in him like we saw it last night or yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he got hot from the outside. I don't know if I want to see LeBron shooting 14 threes in the game, maybe ever again, because we know what he can do in other parts of the court. But when he's feeling it, he's feeling it. And generally you got to trust LeBron with his shot selection because he's a basketball genius. But if Anthony Davis can get going, it's not just about AD. Generally when he gets going, he's being aggressive. And when he's aggressive, he gets the opposing team in foul trouble. When he gets the opposing team in foul trouble, their best interior defenders have to go to the bench. Now, all of a sudden, all your players are going against secondary players down low, and then maybe those guys can also start to get foul calls going their way, get to the free throw line, because you're forcing the issue against a guy who's not as good as a rim protector, so they can't naturally defend the play without fouling. And so there's so many, there's such a domino effect that Anthony Davis can cause when he's playing locked in. And obviously he's been tremendous down the stretch. I don't think there's anything that I've seen, physically or mentally, that would cause me concern saying he's not ready to go out and be that guy. I think this is his moment kind of to put his stamp on his time with the team. And if he does, I think we could be talking about the George scenario where we're still talking Laker basketball into late May.
Well, let's hope so, man. Let's hope so.
So, to me, the thing that's the next most important thing, as crazy as this is going to sound after AD, is the defense. Like, they need to continue to be what we've seen post-trade deadline, which is the number one defense in the sport. To me, that is as important as well, maybe not as important as AD, but close to it. I would actually rank LeBron third in those three, if I was looking at those three things in particular. How do you view the defense as an important piece of this puzzle?
Yeah, I'm with you right there. And, the thing that was interesting to hear AD say today after practice was the reason why they had this kind of lull in their defense over the last week of the season. Basically, from the time they had that fourth quarter lead in Salt Lake City against the Jazz until the end of the season finale on Sunday, they didn't look like the same sharp defensive unit. AD said it was communication. So apparently today there was a film session. Darvin Ham said part of that communication was like former Wolves players kind of being vocal about what to expect out of Minnesota. Give a little scouting report there. And generally, LeBron James has always been a big guy on a defensive end in terms of kind of playing that free safety roaming role and calling out coverages. But, the point guard's always important to that scenario. And you had Dennis Schroeder missing the last two games. With neck soreness, he's going to be back, and so that's one of the voices I think they'll rely on that end, and they're going to need D'Angelo Russell to step into the spotlight here too. Not necessarily do it in a way where he feels like the need to take on more of a burden, because that's what LeBron and AD kind of shield on both sides of things, and certainly they shield it when it comes to taking the lion's share of either the credit or the blame if a loss comes around. But D'Angelo Russell can be really important here in terms of the leadership he takes on in calling out the stuff that he's seeing, particularly in this game on Tuesday night against a Minnesota team that he's intimately aware with.
Dave, one last thing before we let you go. That's zero to do with basketball. My partner here loves to let it rip, and like he just kind of enjoys letting it rip. And by I mean letting it rip, I mean passing gas. He does it on planes. He does it on planes because like it's hard to pinpoint who the person is. If
people around me are like, "Who the hell? What the?" And I do the same thing. I'm like, "Yeah, who is that?
Yeah, and
what kind of animal does something like that on a plane?" I just jump in on that.
Yeah. And then he was at this bowling alley that was really loud and just was letting it rip like loudly there,
Right.
and he's just like enjoying this. Like,
yeah,
I mean. Listen, I get gas is a normal part of human life, right? But I feel like there is a weird series of things going on here when you openly enjoy it the way he does. How do you feel about this?
I
You openly enjoy it?
One, it reminds me of the crop dusting, the scene from, what is it, I Love You, Man? Or, Jason Segel's character.
Yeah.
He'll drop a bomb and kind of walk away, and the odors will be kind of blamed on somebody else. It's part of life, right? I think, I guess I'd be more of a fan of kind of going the covert action. Like, if you have it, you let it go. Don't necessarily need to bring attention to it. Don't need to, cackle at it. But, we're all humans, right?
Yeah.
Maybe look into your diet, though, Scott. There might be something going on in your diet.
No, let me tell you something. Since COVID, and I think I had it one time, there's no smell of any kind.
Oh, stop.
No, it's true.
So
it's
full
the weirdest
Get
thing.
out of here.
Since COVID.
No way. There's no way that is actually true. Now, you may have lost your sense of smell, but there's no way yours don't smell.
There is a thing called COVID tuchus.
Yeah, no.
Okay? It's a brand new diagnosis, and it's after you've had COVID, no longer does it smell bad. Now, I hadn't thought of that. I lost my sense of smell. I just thought that something's not right with me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. Maybe you're on to something. We'll get a professional, medical person on to discuss COVID took us next time.
Good idea.
Next time we have a longer extended show. We're gonna have short shows because the Lakers are playing meaningful games, which will begin tomorrow. You can catch it right here. Our coverage begins at 5:30 with Alan Sliwa with the pregame. Dave McMiniman will be there. He's always there. He's obviously as important as anyone in our coverage when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers, your Los Angeles Lakers, and nobody knows the Lakers like Dave.
Ask Dave. Dave will tell you.
There you go. Even LeBron will tell you. So there you go.
McMiniman.
McMiniman, always a pleasure, brother. Thanks for the time as usual.
Yeah, beware of Sphincter 19. It's out there.
There you go.
It's a tough thing to deal with.
There you go.
I'm with you, Dave.
I'm gonna ask the doctor we have on about that. There he is, Dave McMiniman with us here. Sphincter 19. Careful, it's spreading, literally. All right, coming up next, big deal or no deal. Back in 2 minutes.
Or no deal. Take it away, Sedano.
Thanks, Christopher. All right, Lindsay, you take it away.
Get down.
Thanks, Sedano. All right, guys. So Kanye West is being sued by former employees at Donda Academy, and one teacher has a few warnings for parents of students that are still attending Ye's school. The lawsuit alleges that the private Christian school only feeds the students one thing for lunch, and that's sushi. and they apparently have to eat it on the floor without tables or chairs, and they are not allowed to use any utensils. Students are also not allowed to bring any outside food or drink except for water. The suit claims that Kanye spends over $10,000 a week on sushi. Among other bizarre and disturbing allegations made in the lawsuit are that students are locked inside all day, and they're not allowed to leave even for lunch or recess, and everyone is forced to wear all black easy clothing from head to toe. Classes are also not allowed to take place on the second floor because Kanye West is afraid of stairs. So obviously, if this is all true, especially like the lunch part, I feel like that's not good for anybody.
Little kids eating sushi, while it's an interesting... I enjoy sushi. I don't know. Like, I feel like... eating anything over and over and over again can't be fun.
Especially raw fish. That can't
Did
be
they
good
have
for you.
sushi when we were kids? I don't even think sushi was around
Yes,
when we
it
were
was.
kids.
No.
It was? Are you sure?
Yeah, it was, but we weren't like...
I can tell you this. I grew up in the 80s. There was never one time, never once, where my parents were like, you know what we're going to do tonight? We're going to go for sushi.
Right, but I don't think our
That doesn't mean
parents
it
had
doesn't
sushi,
exist.
but I had older siblings and stuff who were probably having sushi in the 80s.
Cap, if you never had it, it must not exist.
No. It's just that when I was a kid in the 80s, I'm telling you, like my parents...
Yeah, but your parents do they eat sushi now?
Now they will, but like back then, it was like, I can't think of any sushi restaurants that were in my town when I was in the 80s. And my parents would never, because, for them, they'd be like, listen, you're the guy that won't give me the cheese on the cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Right.
They're going to go get sushi? I don't think so.
Right.
Well, anyway, if all of this is true, it's obviously a big deal. So, to ask you guys a more lighter question, what was your favorite school cafeteria lunch?
Oh, pizza. It was,
yeah.
and it was the French
Like
crust pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Like the pizza
pizza?
boat thing.
Right. Pizza boat. Like a Stouffer's pizza.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stouffer's pizza boats were great.
Easy
Love
call.
those.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah.
was turkey, the turkey and mac and cheese, or turkey and mashed potatoes.
By the way, who sends their kids to Kanye West school?
I don't know. I guess he originally recruited all kinds of people who were like kids who were considered gifted students, especially smart or athletes, because he was gonna have the basketball academy and stuff. And now that's all just completely gone off the rails, I guess.
Right. I would think that after being canceled, most people would be like, you know what, let's get our kid out of this school.
Yeah, you'd think, but the canceling thing happened within the past year, and I think the school opened 2 years ago. And I don't know, maybe they could put up. The kids might not know any better because they start at kindergarten.
Didn't he say something recently, Kanye West, that seeing a movie with Jonah Hill has made him less anti-Semitic or something like that?
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Something like that.
Was it You People?
Okay, Kanye. I don't know.
Was the one with Eddie Murphy You People?
I don't know. Yeah. But it was I'm almost sure that it was something like, hey, I like Jonah Hill, so now I'm reconsidering my anti-Semitic takes.
Oh, well, that's nice of him.
That was very lovely.
Yes. All right, so Dick Vitale made an interesting accusation regarding college basketball. The former coach and longtime ESPN hoops analyst believes that there's a lot of cheating going on. He cited some interesting transfer portal movement as his evidence, tweeting, quote, "What is really sad to me with the transfer portal is that it was created for the unhappy player, be eligible immediately, yes, someone not getting playing time, but now has become stars moving on. It tells me there is truth to the rumors that cheating, in all caps, is going on. Is Dickie V's accusation a big deal or no deal, Sedano?"
But who was he,
Yeah, who's cheating?
But who was he? Did he discuss anyone in particular, or is he just saying as a whole?
He was just saying as a whole.
Listen, let me say this, and I say this respectfully, because I think Dick Vitale is one of the most important people in making college basketball particularly relevant. I remember as a kid growing up wanting to watch every Dickie V game,
right,
and making me into a college basketball fan when I really wasn't. I just my family watched professional sports for the most part. College football they would watch, but they're definitely not college basketball.
Right.
And we watched Dickie V together because he was awesome, baby.
Awesome, baby.
Yeah. But I would also say respectfully that there was probably a lot of cheating going on beforehand, and we just were not privy to that. And what I would say is this is at least above board. So, we're seeing, is there any difference in the way they're getting to this result other than the fact that now we know specifically that it's being done above board when it comes to the financial part of the equation?
See, the thing is that Dick Vitale, being an old school kind of guy, probably looks at somebody entering the transfer portal because they think they can actually make more money somewhere else.
Right, but here's what I would say, Cappy. nearly 50% of the people in the transfer portal don't even get a Division I offer the next time around. When
What I'm saying, though, is that Dick might look at this and think, if this kid is transferring from Texas to USC,
right? Like
it's because he can get more money at USC than Texas. I'm just making that as an example. And Dick thinks of that as cheating, but it was cheating back in a generation ago, and it's no longer cheating. You know, it's opportunity. Now, look, I get it. A lot of old school people do not like the fact that it's literally collegiate free agency every single year, every single sport. I understand why a lot of people don't like it, but I don't think it's cheating.
Everyone seems to think that the evidence would likely point to players like Hunter Dickinson leaving Michigan and Caleb Love leaving North Carolina. Because usually you don't see star players transfer to other big programs like that.
Yeah, but if somebody else offers more money and the rules are you can enter the transfer portal and take that NIL money, it's not really cheating.
It's not, but it used to be under the old guard, right?
That's what I'm saying, is that he's an old school thinker.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
And what else, Linz? We got another one?
Yes, I do. So Odell Beckham Jr. was signed by the Ravens yesterday, to everyone's surprise, to a 1-year, $15 million fully guaranteed deal. That's a lot of money, like a lot of money for a guy who is almost 31. He's torn his ACL twice in the last 2 years, and he didn't even play it all last year. So anyway, it appears that Lamar Jackson is the reason behind the normally smart Ravens overpaying so much for OBJ. Because NFL Network's Ian Rappaport says that Odell has, quote, a clear understanding that Jackson will be the quarterback throwing to him this season, and the two were seen out celebrating the deal together last night. Is this whole situation here a big deal or no deal?
I think that, I mean, it had been already reported prior to even the signing that they were in conversations, Lamar and Odell, and I think this could help smooth some things over. Whether that's Lamar getting somewhat near the deal he wants, which he's already said he doesn't necessarily want a fully guaranteed deal, that's been misrepresented, or he plays for the franchise tag or whatever. I don't know, but it seems like it could be closer to getting that thing done.
Yep. I think in the world of the NFL, this is a big deal because Odell, this is ironic, I think. The reports were that Odell got a fully guaranteed 1-year, $15 million contract.
Yes.
So, look, it's quote-unquote only $15 million, and it's only 1 year, but it is fully guaranteed. Which I think
that's a lot of money, as everyone else seemed to be offering somewhere like 7 or 8.
No, but what I'm getting at is that the notion that it's fully guaranteed. If Lamar Jackson started this whole thing with, I want my contract fully guaranteed, and they said, no, we won't do that, now they signed him a wide receiver to a 1-year fully guaranteed contract. So you have to assume that the next domino that falls is that Lamar comes back. George, to your point, how under what circumstances, franchise tag, guaranteed, not guaranteed, dollar figure close to what he wants. You just got to figure that Odell and Lamar have got this thing worked out, and he's going to be coming back to them.
Yeah. Linz, do we have another one, or are we done?
Well, I mean, I don't have one written, but one thing I did want to ask you guys about. Did you guys see that Twitter is kind of like feuding with Substack? Our guy Blake Harris is getting messed with here.
I did not see that. I saw that Twitter's got some other issues going on with the government of India, where they're suppressing free speech, allegedly. And that's become a huge problem for Elon Musk at the moment.
Yeah,
so
that's not good. But Twitter is also...
Especially when you're saying that you were coming to Twitter to make it the real town hall.
Right, and he's made it so much worse. I'm sorry, but
it's not a good experience.
Called it back then. So now Twitter is blocking likes, retweets, and comments on tweets that include a link to a Substack newsletter. Also, Twitter users cannot...
What happened to free speech, though?
Right. And
No, but that's not free speech. That's not a free speech issue. Keep going.
Wait, yes it is.
Twitter users cannot pin a tweet that includes a Substack link to their profile. So basically, the only thing you're allowed to do with any Substack link is post the link, and that's it. Nobody's allowed to comment on it. No one's allowed to reply to it. No one's allowed
that's
to
ridiculous.
share it. That is kind of stupid. Like, why are you blocking just those links?
In Twitter before, you used to be able to post a link to anything.
Right.
But I will just say this, that as much as I don't agree with it or like it, I kind of understand it, meaning that if you're on Twitter and you give somebody a link to go to Substack as an example, and that person clicks on that link and leaves Twitter, that's what they don't want you to do.
But people do that for literally every other place.
Right, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
When, let's say I wrote a story, or McMiniman was just on, right? McMiniman writes a story for ESPN.com.
Uh-huh.
He puts a link on there.
I know.
You leave Twitter to go to ESPN.com to read his story. How's that any different?
It's not. But the question is, will that always be the way it is? So in other words...
Wait, then everyone who is using the platform to promote their work is just going to leave.
Well, that's a possibility. I mean, but all I'm getting at is, and I don't really know what the problem is with Substack
because it's not like
in
Twitter is not like an actual place to create content.
Well,
right, you can't host
share.
You can't host the content itself. The whole point of
Right.
Twitter is to share things.
Correct.
Yeah, but I wonder if what Musk is thinking now is, and I don't know why he picked Substack. I don't really know anything about this story, about why he chose them. But if what you're trying to do is get people to stay on your platform, giving people links and having people leave is what he does not want. And by the same token, if you're Substack, for example, you would rather have people discuss your content on Substack rather than on Twitter, because Twitter's making all the money on that engagement. So it doesn't surprise me that Elon Musk is doing this. But I am confused about why Substack versus why not ESPN or why not somebody else.
I told Lindsay, I was like, I wonder if it's like just certain people, because I went to Blake's thing and I was able to like and retweet.
It says on their
so
website
I wonder
that
if it's like certain people.
it says engagements
That's even
are
worse.
limited on Twitter tweet or Twitter authorization. So basically, it says like some actions on this tweet have been disabled by Twitter. And then she like this.
All right, enough of this crap.
Yeah.
We got breaking news.
Uh-oh.
We do?
Bruce Feldman, college football insider,
Yeah.
Athletic, and Fox Sports. USC is expected to hire former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury as a senior offensive analyst.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Wasn't Cliff Kingsbury originally hired by USC and then as an offensive coordinator and then went and took the Arizona job?
I believe for like a second.
Yeah, he was hired as a coordinator. He left. He took the Arizona head coaching job.
Yeah.
And now, if you're USC, you got a guy with his credentials and with his, I'll call them recruiting abilities, based on the fact that he was Patrick Mahomes' college coach.
Well,
that's a smart move.
I think they got a guy that kind of reminds people of Patrick Mahomes right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good move. It's a good guy to have on your staff. That's a good move right there by USC. Spare no expense. Coaches, players, you name it, man. All about winning. I like that move by USC.
Yeah. He resigned from that position.
He resigned from the USC.
A month later.
Yeah, he got the job.
Because Lynn Swann wouldn't let the NFL teams interview Kingsbury.
He got the job as offensive coordinator.
Yep.
There were other opportunities that presented themselves. He wanted to go explore them. And, Lynn Swann at the time, if that's who was the athletic director, was like, no, dude, we just signed you. We're not letting you out. He's like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Good move by USC. Way to go, Boney.
Yeah. Good
Way
job,
to go,
Boney.
Link.
Good job, Boney.
Very good.
Yeah. So there you go. Breaking news. All right, we're done here. One more segment to go. Dealer's choice. And you've got a long thing that you want to talk about, right?
Just got a thing. Just a thing.
Real quick, I'm going to leave you with this tweet, and you can discuss this on the other side. From Zoza LA. Says, hey, yo, Cap, can you please stop referencing the Dodgers as we? You fooled us last year, but this year, you sure ain't. In capital letters, check yourself.
Oh.
So you can address that as well on the other side. All right? So, all right, one more segment to go. Back in 2.
You.
All right, so do you want to stop referring to yourself as we when talking about the Dodgers?
I don't really hear myself saying we. I think when I'm in character and I'm saying like, hey, if I'm a Dodgers fan and we feel like this, I don't mean like I'm saying like we. By the way, I won't say we about the Lakers. I won't say we about the Padres.
Yeah.
I don't say we about the Rams. I'm not part of it.
Yeah, by the way, Bill Russ also says The Fabelmans was good. Cappy's wrong.
Horrible movie.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
Really bad movie.
Yeah.
So it's dealer's choice, huh, George?
It is dealer's choice, and you had an issue with an Uber driver or something?
Let me run something by you guys and tell me how to handle this, okay? Now, just keep in mind, I have not opened the Uber app since this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've not rated this driver.
Yeah.
I've not tipped this driver. I've literally not done anything since this happened, and this happened about a week ago, okay? I get into an Uber with Rachel. We get in this car, and we've got probably about a 30, 40-minute drive ahead of us, right? The Uber driver doesn't turn around and say to us, hey, guys, how you doing? Hey, look, by the way, sorry, small emergency in my life. Do you guys mind if I take this call? And it's going to be on my Bluetooth. I don't have my headphones. Do you guys mind? Is that okay? Doesn't say that to us at all. By the same token, he calls his girlfriend and doesn't say to her, hey, honey, how you doing? Hey, just to let you know, I got 2 passengers in the car, so kind of watch what you're saying, and we'll try and make it brief. He doesn't tell us he's going to make a call. He doesn't tell her that we're in the car. This guy is on his Bluetooth in the car talking to his girlfriend as if we're not there. Then, you know what he does? In the middle of driving on the freeway, he goes, hold on, let me call Steve. Maybe Steve knows. He freaking, merges a call. So now he's got this guy on the phone. He's got his girlfriend on the phone. He doesn't tell either of them that we're in the car, and he never said to us, hey, do you guys mind?
Right.
So Rachel is now canceling the trip. She's like, get us to where we're going. I'm canceling the trip because we actually were going to go from one place to another place. We just needed to make a quick stop. So the guy's like, hey, what's wrong? You guys canceled the trip. Rachel's like, dude, I have a headache. It's been 20 minutes. You and your girlfriend and your buddy have been arguing, and you guys have all been on Bluetooth.
Right.
So the guy's like, hey, look, I'm sorry. You know, obviously you guys heard what was going on. I'm super sorry. Hey, you know, if you want to cancel the trip, it's fine. I'll get you to where you want to go. But if you want to, you know, finish the trip, I'll stay off the phone. So I'm like, Rach, look, we got to hurry up. We don't have time. Let's just stay with this guy. The guy takes his phone off of the magnet on his windshield, and he starts texting in freeway traffic. I'm talking like doing 75, 80 miles an hour. He's legitimately texting. I videotaped him on the phone. I videotaped him texting. I could not believe what this guy was doing.
Right.
So we get to the airport.
Now, was this like Uber X?
Yeah,
Uber
this was Uber Black, whatever the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was.
It was
an
Rachel's in the
SUV.
car.
Rachel must have.
Thank you.
It was
Yeah,
Rachel's.
Rachel's in the
You
car.
weren't spending Uber Black.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I go with Uber cheap.
Yeah.
She goes with
True, he
Uber
does.
ultra expensive.
Right.
She doesn't go in Uber garbage. I go in Uber garbage.
I mean, regular is not garbage, okay? I showed you guys the picture of that lady that had that setup. It was like regular.
All I'm saying is, I'll use the cheapest Uber. She uses the black, SUVs.
Right.
So now, not only has the guy been on a call for 20 minutes, arguing with his girlfriend and his pal, like we're not even there, doesn't tell them that we're in the car. Then the guy starts texting, almost gets us into a monster accident because he's texting. Then we get to the airport, and he goes to the wrong terminal because he doesn't know where we're going.
Right.
All things considered, I swear to you guys, I haven't opened the app since this went down. I haven't rated the guy. I haven't tipped the guy.
Yeah.
You guys tell me, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Because remember, I'm in the back. I got my girlfriend sitting next to me. I got the Uber driver on the call with his girlfriend and his pal. Then I got him texting, and then he gets us lost at the airport. And God forbid I have the courage to be like a man and stand up to the guy and go, hey, what are you doing? Get off the phone, man. You didn't ask us if you could call these people. You didn't tell them that you're going to have this whole conversation in front of us. Hang up, bro. And then, God forbid I have the courage to say to the guy, excuse me, do you mind not texting while you're driving us? Okay? And then, I mean, again, I have no courage at all to even say to the guy, yo, man, you just got us lost, bro. Like, we're going to be late now. What would you have done, George?
I probably would have tried to help him, to be honest with you. Like, bro, like, you need some advice on this thing or what? You know what I mean?
You want to know what I would do, Cappy?
Yeah.
I would do absolutely nothing if that were me.
Yeah, see, that's
I
what
want
I
to
did.
know what. Okay, so I asked Lindsay because we were like,
Everybody has a bad day,
I
man.
wouldn't care that much.
Now, what's his normal rating?
You know, I don't know. He had, from what I gather, he had a somewhat high rating.
So if he does, then it seems like it's an outlier.
Well, I love this. You know, like when you go to a strip club and a stripper says to you, yeah, I'm just doing this to make money while I'm in medical school. This is a guy who like gave me that whole, I don't really ever drive. Like it's beneath him kind of a thing.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Was the conversation that bad? Because I think that also had like if it was
the context of it?
yeah.
Okay, great question. So the girlfriend is in Florida, and
Okay.
Yeah, and his mom died, and his mom died, and she left him a car, but the car won't start, and his girlfriend doesn't have money for a car. He's going to give her the car that his mom left him, but the car won't start. She took it to a mechanic or something. He said it was going to cost $1,500 and you'd never be able to start it again. You're going to have to hotwire it every time you use it. And now he's calling his buddy who's a mechanic to tell him that his mom died and he needs him to fix the car so that his girlfriend can drive the car.
Sounds kind of like important,
Yeah, but not while I'm in his Uber. And by the way, I didn't do anything. I mean, like I said, I had no courage at all. God forbid I say to the guy, yo, man, excuse me, do you mind, like, can you have this call at another time? Or, yo, can you, like, use headphones or something? I had to listen to the whole thing.
Now, the texting part, that would bother me.
Yeah.
And I
Now,
would say
how much
something.
of this was you were upset or Rachel was really bothered by this?
Okay,
That's also a good question.
Yeah, if
okay,
it were
great
just
question.
you, would you have even brought it up?
Great question. So now, if it was me and you, George, and we were in the car together, we would look at each other like dudes.
We'd be
like-
laughing, yeah.
we'd be like, "Can you believe this?"
Yeah.
But hey, I got my girlfriend.
She was mad.
Well,
And
but
she's like-
but wait, again, so you're saying that she's the one that's annoyed.
Yeah, she was annoyed.
Yeah.
But then because she's annoyed, now I'm annoyed.
Right.
Because I'm.
Well, why
probably
doesn't she just
annoying-
lighten up a little bit?
Well, because I think she feels like she was paying for a service, and like this
Yeah,
is really
but it was
over
on
the
your
top.
app. So
Also, I take taxis home all the time from the airport specifically because I feel like they're quicker and easier. And I can't remember the last time that I was in a taxi and like someone wasn't on the phone. So I feel like what's the difference? Like, is there a difference there between
on
an
the
Uber?
phone, like
They were
on
on
the phone.
speakerphone, yeah.
Really?
Like people conduct business all the time in taxi cabs. I feel like, at least in my experience, I've had quite a few taxi
the
drivers.
taxi cab drivers are conducting business
Like
on the
yeah,
phone
the
while
one
they're
guy,
driving you.
the one guy answered his phone. He was on speaker, and then he was like, he talked for a couple minutes, and then when he hung up, he was like, "Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to sell my liquor store or whatever, and somebody wanted to call and come look at it." And like,
Yeah.
no big deal. I don't
Yeah.
really care. And
this
then
guy didn't turn around and go, "Hey, sorry about that, guys. Excuse me if you don't mind. Sorry." I mean, he never said to us, "Hey, do you mind?" And he never said to the people on the other end, "By the way, I got passengers in the car."
So would you have, not you, because I don't think you have the issue. Going back to Sedano's actual, situation was, I think Rachel had the issue. If you would have turned around and been like, "Hey guys, sorry, need to take this, blah blah blah," do you think she still would have been as mad?
Not as mad. If
But
he
still
would have
mad.
if he would have just been polite about it, I think that we probably both could have gotten over it.
Well, she
you
got
guys
really
also
mad and then got
understand-
mad at you, huh?
But you got to understand, this went on for 25 minutes. This wasn't like a brief phone call. "Hey, babe, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. I got passengers in the car." This went on and on.
What were
and
they
on.
fighting about?
They were fighting about. One mechanic said this was what it was gonna cost. The other mechanic was saying no. They were literally all arguing with each other. They were cursing, which, by the way, I don't mind cursing. I curse all the time too. But like, if I had passengers in my car, I'd want to be a bit more professional. This is my business.
So
then he
Rachel just was really mad.
Yeah,
and
Rachel
took it
was
out
really
on
mad.
you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
was,
kind of sold her down the river when you said it was you and me in the car. We'd just laugh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that
People got
I think
stuff
she
to
had a
do.
legitimate gripe that she.
No, I
think
mean,
she
listen,
was
you
right.
pay for a service, you should be expecting a certain amount of modicum of professionalism. Sure,
Right.
I would.
Would you tip this guy?
I mean,
Yes.
I still would tip.
I still would tip.
Even
He's
with
had a
a
bad
bad
day.
ride,
I would
yeah.
tip him exactly. Usually, I go above the normal tips in those situations. I would tip him like the bare
amount.
minimum, right?
Okay. And what about, like, would you rate this
I
guy
wouldn't rate them
down?
at all. Like, I would just avoid the rating, because if you rate them poorly, it's going to reflect
them.
on them, and then if you rate them properly, it's also not going to reflect your feelings on it. I would just abstain from rating.
Well, hit me up on Twitter, everybody, and let me know what you guys think I should do.
All right, what's next, Laura?
Lakers talk.
Slee on the spot for an hour. Great job, Cappy. Great job, Lindsay and Laura. Slee is next. See ya.
Enjoy cleaner